Some articles here. We got Kim Crypto. What's going on, Kim? Kim, you
Doing
there?
good.
You're
Hanging
good.
out with you guys.
Yeah, Moon's in the house.
Hey, what's going on?
Now, real quick, and this is just a run through to get the news out there. People need to do their due diligence, read out there. Here's where it says the Terra Luna ecosystem collapsed. They got where Sam Bankman-Fried buys some Robinhood stock, some things like this. So when we pull this up here, the weirdest thing is they have Galaxy Digital, right? And this is where we got in the other day. I don't know if you guys know in the Discord. Remember we were picking up Gal. It was actually Galaxy Digital reported 112 million quarter one loss, citing crypto price volatility. The weirdest thing is we actually just made some money on that. Now, the breaking news: Binance suspends Luna, right? And the UST trading amid issues of Terra blockchain. Obviously, Terra's all over the place, and we're all watching this. And you know, I think today Crypto.com put it back in there. But the thing I was looking at after all that was kind of like, cause you know, we know where we all stand on Terra Luna. We got to back Terra Luna and get in there. But this is the weird thing that popped up. Can Solana dominate the POS chain despite persistent outages, right? And to me, every time I just see POS, I'm always like, piece of shit. But I'm just saying. All right. So when we pull up Solana, become a dominant point of service chain. Solana Network seems to be battling persistent outages while seeking address an industry's blockchain trilemma. I mean, can you say you have the trilemma down if you can't stay up? I mean, so when you guys think of Solana, what are you guys thinking? So we have where Moon's been in crypto for a year, kind of like just getting into the investing side. Ken's been in for a year, and they both kind of have two different versions where they're kind of getting in there. So we'll go with Moon. Moon, what do you think of Solana right now?
I'd say if you can buy as much as you can.
You like it? What's the reason why you like it?
So, I don't think any altcoin right now is doing too well, but Solana did well for a while. I like their NFTs as well. So, I would invest now that it's cheaper, like it's definitely under $100. So, you know, Solana is just one of those coins that if you wanted to buy and you didn't want to buy full price, this is the time. You can get your NFTs with them. I know that their system for NFTs has sucked and their system goes down a lot, but I do like the coin. I do.
Okay. And Kim, like when you're thinking of Solana, obviously, you know, we're looking long term. What's your thoughts on Solana?
So, I've used Solana to transfer and had great success with it. So I don't have a problem at all there. I guess the main thing I would say is that it keeps going down. So that in itself for me just makes me feel like, I don't know, I need to see more. I need to see it not go down. And I don't know. That's how I feel about it for that point.
Yeah, I mean, because I think it was down in December 4th. It was down for like 8 hours or something like that, or 6 hours. My fault. So you know, they kind of said they fixed that because it seemed like the chain had appeared to stop validating new blocks and at slot 53,180,000. But furthermore, on September 4th, you just kind of speed up almost a year later. The official Solana support Twitter handle revealed the network had been experiencing intermittent instability for approximately 45 minutes. So, according to the report, resource basically was likely caused an issue as a result of a denial of service. According to the support handle, the engineers were working on an issue and looking into a possible of a restart if persisted. The network recently experienced another outage, making it the 7th time that it has been disrupted. This time, the problem was caused by bots initiating large number of transactions on Metaplex, a non-fungible token, which is an NFT marketplace built on Solana. The outage lasted approximately 7 hours. So my whole concern here is that it wasn't even we had a 7-hour outage on a marketplace that was actually built on Solana. So how do you, when it's one thing to have your, when you okay, so it's like when the entire city, the power grid for the city goes out because the entire city turns on their lights. And you're like, man, there's a lot of people in the city. But when one zip code out of 100 turns on their lights and your power grid goes out, I mean, that makes me worried. Like this is just one marketplace. And then you look ahead, and this is kind of interesting because now you take a look and look what happened when Ape released their metaverse or their coin to buy their metaverse on Ethereum, which most people would say Ethereum's so much greater, and then all of a sudden it crashed. So where do we, when you think of it, where do we go when you can't really have a massive launch on Ethereum and you can't have it on Solana? And I think we can all agree those are the two biggest NFT chains, correct?
Yes.
I think Hedera is going to be creeping up. People underestimate Hedera, and I am really big on Hedera, and I'm really big on Hedera NFTs.
So is that where Hedera kind of takes a stab at this? Because right now Hedera has been coming around with the NFTs. Phantom has been coming around with some celebrity NFTs. So is this where we're going to see these other chains kind of sneak in and do what Solana did to Ethereum the first time?
I do.
And
I do. Remember, Hedera's not blockchain. Hedera's hashgraph.
right.
So I have a lot of faith in that ecosystem. And Hedera, in my humble opinion, is ahead of the game. So I think that once everything starts catching up and Hedera starts to I have the NFTs that I do own right now have been on Hedera. And they have, the transactions to get them, to buy the HBAR, all of that was super, super simple. So I think Hedera NFTs are going to be creeping up on people, and it's going to make a big difference.
Have you bought, when you say super, super simple, so you're talking about to buy an NFT on HBAR, it was really, really simple.
Yeah.
What wallet did you use?
I use Hashback.
All right, so they have their own wallet. And then you just put some HBAR in there and you went to a, was there kind of like a...
Well, I follow different projects, which
Okay.
we'll talk about in the future because I do want to go over them. But yes, you follow the projects and you basically buy the NFTs from the project that you can use either, most of them use Hashback, you can use Exodus, it just depends.
Is there like an open sea for Hedera?
To be honest with you, I don't know because I've gone directly to the projects themselves.
So right now the Hedera
that
Hashgraph.
are on Hedera.
Yeah, they're now you're going right to the project and you're paying the project and they're just putting them in your wallet.
You're paying, yes, you're using the HBAR and you're buying it with the HBAR and then you just
Transfer it
like any
over.
transaction. But what I am encountering a lot, which I think is amazing, is oh my goodness, you can, on some of these NFT projects, you can actually cross-chain, like you can use Ethereum on them, you can use HBAR on them, you can use Polygon, you can use fiat, you can use your credit card. So a lot of now these NFT projects, I think because of some of the stuff going on with Solana and all of that, is that they're allowing cross-chain payments. So
All right,
if you
we'll have to
want
take
to
a-
buy the NFT using your credit card or debit
Yeah.
card and not use Ethereum and not use Solana, you can pay with your credit card or pay with HBAR or pay with something else.
So on HBAR's network, you could use Ethereum to buy your HBAR NFT.
No.
Okay.
No. Now, if you are following a project, okay, that is a Hedera, is in the Hedera ecosystem, on those NFTs or whatever the person who developed the NFT or the project, if they decide to do cross-chain payments, they can have HBAR, they can have Ethereum, they can have Polygon, they can have them all. You know what I mean? So.
Well, where do you go? So let's say they have them all, right? And where are you going to to pick what you pay? Do they have their own website? Is it on their Instagram or?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, well, I do everything on Twitter.
All right. So on their Twitter, are they putting like a link tree?
They have a website, you buy it from their website.
So we'll have to take a deeper look at that, because what they're doing is they're just kind of like they're selling it in any way possible, and then they're just like, you just happen to have to get the hashback wallet or whatever because it's on HBAR, and then they put it in that wallet for you.
Yeah, it's like going to OpenSea.io, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
If you wanna buy a particular project, you go to their website
Yeah.
and
Yeah, you pick it
the
up.
options to buy it is there, you choose what you want, and then.
You
it
can
goes to
and
their
that you
website.
can do that with anything. So what I'm looking at here is kind of like Ethereum went down because Ape wanted to do their metaverse. Solana's gone down multiple times because they have where like they had their a NFT project minting too much, right? So Kim, when you hear like the HBAR side of it, and we're thinking about Solana going down and Ethereum going down, like when you hear that, what are you thinking?
So my first thought is I'm going to the Hedera Hashgraph site right now, and I'm looking. So I don't know yet. I'm checking it out.
Well, just look at when Ethereum went down, right? Because we know as Solana
Yeah.
goes down, that anytime there's a lot of like processing on there, right? So these two are the monsters of the NFT world. So now that we've seen Solana go down many times, but the first time that Ethereum had something actually large on its platform, and it wasn't even that large, it went down.
Yeah.
So when you hear that, what are you thinking at that time? Like, is there any like alternative in your mind?
Oh gosh. You know what? I really don't know.
See, and this is where I listen to everything that people are saying. Like, in when you say like, when Moon's been working on some NFTs, and we got some other series coming down. You guys will learn about those. We are getting heavy into NFTs on every single level, guys, and we're gonna give you a lot of content on the NFT space.io. So if you want to go get in there and get yourself signed up on the YouTube channel before we start getting set up, so you can get giveaways, you want to go hit that website, the NFTspace.io. But right now we are really getting into the NFT space because 8 months, almost a year ago, I told you guys that it will be 700 to 800 times bigger than every crypto coin that you can even imagine, and it will dwarf the entire industry in the next 2 to 3 years. But the thing that kind of always like it's so weird to me is that when I see a competitor like Solana come in, take over the NFT space, go down, grow, go down, and then Ethereum finally get its chance to shine with the apes, go down, and even though I think that was manipulated, when I hear it all, and then with Moon coming in, because she's working with HBAR project right now, so she's kind of loving the easy thing to use HBAR. And with Kim, I think Kim has got OpenSea, she uses Solana, SolSea,
Wax.
yeah, Wax. I mean, we use we use a lot of different blockchains. Wax is super simple. So
Wax is super simple.
yeah, so we're pretty much into the NFT side. And the one thing when I see these go down, the one thing that I'm waiting for, because it might be game over, it's just like HBAR is going to get a chance to one day, especially. I think there was some celebrities that were going on an HBAR. I know Phantom just signed like a big race car driver, and I'm pretty sure HBAR just had something happen, but we'll have to track that. But what I'm waiting for is Michael Jordan. When Michael Jordan drops an NFT and he chose XRP,
Yeah.
if the largest basketball icon in the world, probably one of the most recognized athletes of all time, drops an NFT, and if XRP delivers with that massive amount of people with no hiccups, super fast, I don't know if I think everyone's going to realize how amazing that thing is. So the true test for HBAR is we're going to have to see HBAR actually do something. we're going to have to see these other blockchains grow to a level where there's so many people, because there's not a lot of people in this space. Like, we're going to have to see them handle the numbers, right? Which might be hard over time, because I don't think a lot of them will get the numbers right away. They'll give them time to build, but when Michael Jordan drops on XRP, man, you're going to see numbers that have never been seen before. And if XRP just flies through that, it has no issue, oof, I think that's going to be the talk of the town.
Hey, BC, I think NBA star Spencer Dinwiddie.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What was he doing? What blockchain was he on? Hedera. Right. Hedera. Right. We read that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember we watched the video.
Yeah. There's a shoe.
That was the shoe.
That was the shoe. The Bitcoin shoe. And that's on Hedera, right?
Yeah.
That's right, yes.
So, but that's what I'm saying. So imagine when Michael Jordan drops an NFT, right? And I can't even imagine how many people are going to try to get this NFTs. And if XRP just like butter, is everyone going to go, wow, man, maybe that's a great ledger. You see what I'm saying? Because it's super cheap, super fast, and it can handle an amazing amount of traffic. Right? So, I mean, I think it's a real moment where people aren't really thinking. It's almost like when you don't expect the car to come in that just blows every other car away, and you're like, whoa, what just happened? Right? You just don't expect it. And I think that even though I think people are so caught up with the XRP battle and the XRP army and the XRP and the SEC and is it the bank coin? Is it going to run the country? Is it this? Is it going to 10,000? I think when they drop that Michael Jordan, I think it's going to become maybe XRP has utility through everything. Because then we're going to see things happen as time moves forward with, these NFTs. Like, most people don't talk about it, but Mana doesn't do really well with a lot of traffic. Sand doesn't do really well with a lot of traffic. So NFTs, play to earn things, they need to be able to handle traffic. So if XRP just starts handling traffic at a massive level, I mean, it's going to be really hard for IT people and companies to say, well, yeah, we'll try something that goes down. Or, I mean,
Right.
I don't think anyone's understanding how, everyone's just like, oh, Michael Jordan's making an NFT. Michael Jordan is making an NFT on XRP.
Yeah.
Like, that is monumental, not because it's Michael Jordan, because of the numbers that will have to be done on XRP. And if they have no issues and everything runs like it's supposed to, that is on the, not for the commercial, not for the retail investor, not for the people who don't understand how to scale a business or what business means or what companies are looking for or how companies will integrate or how crypto is going to bring other companies in or how do companies migrate to crypto. Literally the fundamentals of this blockchain technology that's going to revolution the entire freaking world. That moment that Michael Jordan's NFT drops and those transactions are moving 30, 40,000 per second. Like, they're going to realize that XRP has no issue. And every company is going to watch that drop and go, okay, we're watching now. Like, most people don't know how fast Nano is. Have you guys ever studied the Nano coin?
No.
All right, look that up.
Yeah.
So the
I'm going to.
the Nano coin is unbelievably, it's probably one of the fastest blockchains in the world. But it gets no marketing, no respect, no anything, right? Even though it's more capable than pretty much 98% of the other cryptocurrencies. So this is where the concept is like kind of what they used to say, it's not who you know, it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? There is a little bit of bias inside of this crypto society. And, sometimes if you don't have enough people behind it or influencers or whatever, you don't get noticed, and then, you know, to me this comes down to IT, right? I mean, most of you guys, if you're going to be an investor in type of new technology, right? Let me give you a super simple winning strategy. It's called plug and play. Okay, plug and play just simply means that IT from a company will be able to take the software that from another company, integrate it into their system, and basically operate that day. Not build a bridge, not build a new system, not add software, that doesn't work for companies. They don't want that shit. That's trash. They want plug and play. That's why when you go to a store, people are like, yo, is that plug and play? Plug and play. That means something. It's a lingo. That's what it is. So I'm just going to be very curious to see when XRP drops Michael Jordan, if it is as flawless as I think it will be. Like once that happens, I want to see, like to me, that is the turning point of a market and no one's even paying attention. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm thinking of, I mean, right now I'm like, man, if I'm going to do a big NFT project, I'm going to do XRP. Just
I
because.
would do XRP or I would both,
Yeah.
XRP or Hedera.
Yeah, see, you still like Hedera. I don't.
They're underestimated.
Well, we'll never know. We'll never know until they get that project. We'll never know until there's a project that actually demands a heavy amount of traffic.
Right.
Right? And that's where, do they get that project ever or they don't? Right? And I think that's where, go ahead, Ken.
This is something, as we're talking about this, I'm looking at the page that has all of the ISO 2022 coins on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And XRP and XLM are part of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, XLM is going to be used by the stock market. And now, like Michael Jordan, you know he's going to get a tremendous amount of traffic.
Oh,
and they all know that.
For sure.
So it seems like they're all probably pretty tried and true. That's why they're a part of that ISO, right?
Correct. I mean, so there's parts of the ISO. I mean, we'll have to do a separate thing on that because, you know, there's two things called liquidity coins, right? And this is kind of like where when people talk about what their coin does, they have to understand what their coin is, right? Liquidity coins are coins that are built and designed to be fast, quick, cheap, and made to move money, and that's XRP and XLM. Then there is liquidity smart contract coins, which is XDC. XDC is a monster that no one's paying attention to. That is a $1 coin sitting at 5 cents. And then backing that coin up is Algo. Now, Algo is a monster because Algo also builds ecosystems. Like you can build your entire ecosystem on top of Algo. It doesn't make Algo more expensive or worth more money because by using their outline, you're not using their coins because you're putting your coin onto their system. So just like they're building onto Solana and Solana's failing with that other system and it crashes, if you build on top of Algo, you don't have that issue. But that doesn't make Algo worth more money because Algo's coin or service isn't collecting money for the system. It's just building an ecosystem that allows them to be part, and eventually they need to figure out how to make Algo money to make it a good investment. Otherwise, it just becomes the internet, and the guy who made the internet doesn't make any money. It's a great ideal that everyone has apps on, but the apps are the ones that make the money. So this is the hard part to understand, like, well, where is Algo going to fit in all this? Algo fits in by being a smart contract backing up XDC, but XDC will be the main prospect because XDC was built to do one thing, which is simply smart contracts for XRP and XLM, right? So there are these systems and these moments and simplicities that are already built and already put together and plug and play. So you just have to kind of like understand that, and then the hardest part of this is the investing side, is trying to figure out like what coin is the internet, right? Like what coin is going to be unbelievably used but worthless, right? You know what I mean? So that's kind of like the interesting. It's like land, right? Like there's land everywhere, and it's like, oh man, land's worth a lot, and he's like, well, sometimes, but I mean, I can go buy a 3 acres for $5,000. But if I build a $7 million smart home on it, what's really worth the money? The home or the land, right? So this is what you have to kind of like think, and that's the interesting part that we're in, and we don't know until the next evolution. Just like knowing is HBAR is going to be able to do something. Like Solana, I know one thing about Solana: if you put pressure on it, it fails, right? I know the second thing about Solana is that it's a cross chain and not a multi chain, which means
Right.
it's not able to evolve into the next generation of Web3. That's a massive problem. HBAR has the same problem, right?
Right.
So we have
Cross-
to, you got to be a cross chain. You got to be a multi chain, not a cross chain. So when you have Polygon running the entire connection between Ethereum and every other network that is a cross chain like Autumn or Cosmos, Polkadot, Algo, XDC, Rune, and the list goes on, is that where do these coins make their niche? Is HBAR going to make its niche in the NFT world? Well, they better sign some people up. Is Solana going to make their name in the NFT world? Well, they better stop crashing, right? Because we all know Ethereum is going to make its life based on being a smart contract inside of a massive system like a library, and it's just going to sit inside of like protocols that are used that Matic will go and grab smart contracts and send copies to people at a faster, higher rate, and then the original will be stored inside of the Ethereum smart contract inside of Ethereum on top of ICP. So the ideal here is like, where do these coins make their niche? Like, how do they build? I mean, remember back in the day we had the boom with the tech boom, right? The cell phone booms were, remember the cell phones? You had Motorola, Sun, you had 100 cell phone companies, right? Do you remember when when 98% of them crashed? Right? It came down to Motorola, it came down to very specific, cell phone companies. And that's where we're at with these coins. The only difference here, the only difference here is that we have an opportunity to where crypto itself, and this is the exciting part, and this is where you have to be super bullish on crypto, because everything that has came before it, that has the tech boom, right? Because when people say, oh man, it's the tech boom, it's like, man, we're completely different. The tech boom was a movement from businesses being able to communicate through an internet process and apps, and basically using documents and emails and things that made it more efficient. And then apps came like social media and Amazon and things like that, which built commerce, right? When you come to the blockchain is being built into everything. Like music, you don't need a record label, you don't need a distributor, you don't need Best Buy, you don't need copyrights. Art, you don't need a copyright, you don't need a clearinghouse, you don't need anyone to sell it. Right now, the world is to see, and it's like it has so much exposure right now that it's with the metaverse of where you're building a new world where you need to hang. You're going to get a metaverse house, and what are you going to put in it? A piece of art. You can't go to Walmart in the metaverse, so you need to go find art from people, right? So the ability to take blockchain and make to take money from every single industry and make it peer-to-peer, whether you're an artist, a musician, a doodler, a person who does memes, a person who tells jokes, a person who, it's just so much that is why this is bigger than the tech boom, because, even if XRP, it's everything, right? So there will be more survivors in this instance than the tech boom, because the tech boom had a very simplicity. Like, how do you get on the internet? It was either Netscape or what Microsoft put on their computer, right? Netscape couldn't survive because Microsoft put the Internet Explorer on their PC, so when you open up your Internet Explorer, it came with an option to get on the internet. So why would you use Netscape? A complete monopoly. Why would you use Firefox? right? When you can just, your computer comes with an option to an app to get on the internet, so it's the only thing you used. But in the crypto world, people can build, like right now, Moon and that people are building in the hash graph. They're like there's people who are deciding. It's almost as if people are picking their cultures, right? Like people are like, well, man, I just like the way HBAR looks. I like the logo. You know, it's like the people are picking their trucks, you know, and their cars. Like, well, I drive Chevy. Well, I drive Ford. Well, I love Ram. I just think that crypto will have more companies surviving because of the people, because it's peer to peer, but the people are going to pick the things that they like to use. I don't think they're too concerned about the little quality things, because you know, as time goes on, things will get fixed, things will get better. But I think that that's what's happening as I'm watching this. I mean, Moon, when you're in the hash bar over there, right? What's the vibe over there? What's the people like in the HBAR community?
I have to say that the HBAR community, I mean, I'm into XRP, I'm in other altcoins, but the HBAR community is super, super close. Like, it's like everybody's working on one project, which is HBAR, and they believe in the ecosystem, they believe in what it's gonna do, and they're just, it's like I said, like if they worked for HBAR, everybody's pushing Hedera, and I think it's very cool because as opposed to the other NFT projects that I've seen, people that are on the Hedera NFT projects, everybody helps each other. Like, I work with this one particular, I'm a part of a team for this one particular NFT project. And this project, this team, we help other NFTs, like we promote each other. We do giveaways, everybody's like helping everybody build and grow. And that's it's one of the main reasons I love the community. But I do like the ecosystem. I like what they do. I like the vision. But I love the community and I love how they help each other. So that's why mostly I'm kind of bullish on Hedera and the community, because everybody's out to help each other grow.
So, and this is what I mean. Like, most people don't know this, but I'm actually I'm Hebrew and Latin. So I give Latin people a lot of shit because a lot of times they don't know that I'm Latin, and it's funny. But see, the culture that you grow up when you have Latin roots is that you learn a lot about culture and like family, right? And people don't realize that Chevy was out of business until the Latins bought it. Budweiser was only #1 because the Latins bought it. Like, so when I grew up, I was so confused because
Bacardi.
Yeah, Bacardi. I knew when people used to just kind of like when people used to tell me how the world was set up, I never believed their narrative that you couldn't dominate this world, because I just knew that the Latino world had a huge amount of CEOs. And no one even knew. And a lot of times when you go way back in history and you kind of dig into the history side, I mean, Hollywood had a lot of Latinos, but they didn't say they were Latinos because it was a bad thing to do. But, so when I look at what I'm seeing here, and this is why I want to kind of go with Moon, is do you see what I'm talking about when it's like when they buy their truck, it's like, yo, I drive a Chevy, right? And it's like, I drive a Ford, you know what I'm saying? I drive a Ram. I'm seeing this same,
oh, for sure.
Right? Is that kind of like the vibe? Is that kind of like what's happening, where you're getting like those, it's like, I think this is why there will be more options of survival for more coins. And I see that developing to even more, because I think that people will grow into liking the logo. This is and you're a marketing side too, so this is real good for you, Moon, is that, you know what I'm saying? Like, the logo will be very important because people want to represent what they like. It's all visual. Yes.
Exactly.
Are you seeing that as well?
The project that I'm working on is a Hedera project, and I'm a part of a team that's basically, it's Latino. Mm-hmm. They're Mexican Americans. They're based out of Chicago. The
Chi-town? 312?
Yes.
312?
And we're trying to bring Hadera into the Latin American culture and, just be that, push the project for Latin America.
Absolutely. Now, Kim,
So-
I'm not going to mention how we got a bunch of Mexicans in Chicago and they didn't even call me yet 'cause I don't even care. All right, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm the, you know what I mean? All right, so look, that's what this is what I'm saying is like, I think people are missing like the community, one nation, right? I think the expansion of crypto is getting like, I think the survival of crypto is really peer to peer. And the reason why I believe wholeheartedly that the people will win here is because when they build the Chevrolet, when they build the Budweisers, when they build the Nikes, when they support these projects that go over the hump and actually develop and make communities, I see crypto building communities like the old school, like the old Italians, when people used to come into New York, right, and they would spread across the country. The Italians, the Latins, the Greeks with their big lions in their damn yards, and and all the Puerto Ricans and all the cultures would basically always say, keep the money in the neighborhood, go to the deli, eat at Carlos's restaurant. You know what I mean? And that was the biggest. And what they were really trying to say was, if you give your money to the Walmarts, if you give your money to the Targets, the Amazons, they keep it.
Go local.
Go local.
Right, support your
local.
mom and pop.
Support your mom
Always.
and pop. And I see crypto as not the mom and pop, but it came because a lot of times, when you say mom and pop, sometimes people are like, I don't want no old food, right? But I think crypto is bringing the twist of like, support the 98 percenter. Like, support the person who likes things you like. And you're like, you know what, I like cats too. And you're like, I like cats. And you're like, all right, I'm in, right? I like this, I like that. But I think crypto has found a way to bring people together, not only just in the same neighborhoods, but across the world. And that's the key, because
Absolutely.
that's going to be the markets that we've never had before, never able to touch. And now we can come together and say, I like the way that looks. Because you have your Doge army, your SHIB army, your XRP army, Bitcoins, they're kind of like, they're the evangelists. You drink the Kool-Aid, man, the shit's coming. But like, it's true. When you go see a Bitcoin thing and everyone's wearing white, it gets a little scary. But what I'm saying is, I didn't drink the Kool-Aid, guys. I drank everything from a bottle and I bought it myself. Okay, so I don't trust them. I'm just saying. You don't know what they're thinking. All right, so, but that's what I'm saying is like, I'm just seeing because this is really, people have to understand, this is the beginning of the neighborhoods. This is the beginning of what you like. This is the beginning of people looking at the market going, oh, that's pretty cool, right? And from a marketing standpoint, I'm seeing the development of neighborhoods. I'm seeing the development of, culture. And the weirdest thing is, and when you say it, it's crypto culture. It isn't Latino. It isn't this or that. It's like, it's a culture of, I like that culture, right? And it's like, when you have the Latino, you have the Indians. You have, people that love the Indians and the Latinos. And they're like, I love that culture. And everybody gets to get in and experience and celebrate the roots of where we come from. And that's why I know crypto will win this war. Is because once you find your roots, right, it's harder to pull you out. And I feel like when people start realizing that crypto is the roots and the reversal of where you came from, and its entire mission is to celebrate peer-to-peer history, roots, and what you stand for, and your ideologies and your love for that culture, life, and what it means. And it doesn't matter where you're at. That is where the products will come from. That's where the money will stay local. That's where the support will be. And that money will be transmitted through people who are like, okay, we made a lot of money. Let's support someone else. And I think the philosophy of, what I would love to try would be to start a revolution of no one in debt, right? Where you go to all these NFT projects, right? And just say, hey, listen, we want to, can you donate some NFTs? We want to try something crazy. And what we want to try is this. We literally start off with 10 people, right? 1 or 2 or 3 people, and they come up with their debt, okay? And let's pay off people's debt one by one. And let's see what we can do in the world, right? Let's build a community of education, of credit, finance, and stability, right? Imagine if everyone was really donating $1 to a person, right? I mean, how much is someone's debt? Sometimes people's debts are like $100 grand.
Really went to them.
Yeah, it's like $100 grand. Imagine if 200,000 people are like, I got 50 cents. You know what I mean? And you paid that person's debt off, and all of a sudden you cleared all their credit. You say, listen, all we want you to do is pay it forward. Don't do this smarter. And we get companies and people who understand credit and everything and go, this is how this is done. This is how, now when you work and you make money, put it in crypto because you're going to put it into a DeFi platform, into a loan platform, and you're going to get yourself residual income, and you're going to learn how to build financial freedom at a level that just allows you never to be in debt again. And when you're doing that, we just hope that, you just need you to help the next person that we're helping out. I mean, imagine what you could build by everyone just keeping the money in the network. Right?
What an amazing world that would be.
Right. I think it would blow people's minds because they would totally forget about everything. It's almost like, Moon, when it's called, when Latinos have what is it called? Where they basically say, let's say they're all at work, right? And what they do is they all every pay week, and they all put like, $10 in an envelope or $50 or even $100, right? And the pack of people get together and they all put $50 in an envelope and they give it to one person, right?
I don't know the translation in English. I know exactly what that is.
Yes.
I can say it in Spanish, and
Wow.
then I'll translate it in English, which is something that we're gonna do with NFTs in this project. But that's called a gallo tapado, which
Yes.
is basically like a raffle.
Yes.
So you have a group of people, and everybody puts money in, right?
Mhm.
And then somebody outside of that group draws a name or draws a card, and whoever's name gets picked, that's the person who wins that raffle for that money, for that pay period.
Now say it again. Pico de gallo?
No, gallo tapado, which is basically it's a hidden rooster is what it's called.
It's
That's the translation.
Hidden rooster?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God! Text it to me.
That's a translation. I don't even know how it started or where.
Well, yeah, text it to me because that's what I'm saying. Like these cultures are. This is a moment to really dig in, get into the cultures because that's where I know the bonds won't be broken, right? Because when people find their roots and find their culture and realize what this all means, crypto was designed to allow you to be back to peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer is simply the representation of the respect of someone else's culture, abilities, and heritage, right? Because when you go get rice from someone, you're buying the rice because they have the best rice. When you buy furniture, you're buying furniture because they have the best furniture, right? You would always go to the people. It's just like back then, you'd always know, like if you were getting something, you were getting it from a certain group, right? And it was the respect of like knowing that, that's what they do. You know what I mean? And that's where I see crypto starting to really happen again. Like I'm seeing where the people are bringing back their heritage, and I'm telling you, like watching it, and this is the good thing about having such a massive Discord and everything, and talking to so many people, is that, you know, especially with you guys, where, you know, we're lucky we got Moon. Moon went out, and we're completely NFTs. So the team right now is touching base with everything, like everything NFT. But right now it's really starting to, when I'm watching it come together and they come back and tell me about the projects that they found and what's happening, and we're getting into the NFT space, and I'm going through a bunch of I'm really noticing that the solid platforms, especially like on other blockchains, they have a certain feel, they have a certain culture, they attract certain people, and they're building something that is really like, you know, it's like the neighborhoods. It's like, you know, here's Greektown, here's Latin Town, you know, it's that old school feeling again, right? And that's how I know what crypto can do, is because it naturally creates a harmonic movement where people just do business together, barter
It's a community.
to barter.
It's a
It's a
sense of
community.
And you
Yes.
always tend to gravitate to people that you have some similarities with, like some
Connection.
common interest.
Yeah, I mean,
Which is what I found in the Hedera community.
yeah, you have, and you want to celebrate it, right? I mean, people love to celebrate, and the beautiful thing is that, you know, I think where people kind of lose their understanding is like, you know, I've had people who run businesses and all types of stuff, and they always go, "Man, VC, where's all the money going to come from?" And I just laugh. I'm like, from the 1% that has it in their basement, bro. What are you talking about? Like, you guys do know that 90% of the money isn't circulated because they hold it. Like, when we start taking the money back and we put it in and we keep growing it in our area and we circulate it, I mean, that's where you're going to see the growth. That's where you're going to see the expansion. That's where you're going to see scalability, right? And that's where the cultures and creating and everything is going to really blow the market up, because that's what we don't have in the normal, you know, inside the system. The system of, you know, capitalism has been hijacked by greed, right? Capitalism was supposed to be everyone has the ability to create a business, make money, and move forward. Well, what happens is these animals cut off supplies, right? There was a guy named the Tucker, and he built this car. I don't know if you guys ever heard the story about the Tucker. This guy built a car. Anybody ever heard of Tucker?
No.
Kim, you've never heard of, Google it. Google the Tucker.
Right.
Google Tucker car.
Okay.
Google the car. And what they did to this man was he created a car that was faster than Ford, Chevy, and could just outrun all of them. And you know what they did? They went to the steel companies and said, if you deliver steel to him, we won't buy from you. And literally shut him down. Now, that's not capitalism. That's monopoly. So when people say, oh, capitalism's terrible, no, monopoly is terrible. Greed is terrible. Like, the people have to some point be aware that at some point a company has too much and we need to move on. Right? That we have to put pressure on these companies to say, hey man, you have too much. You need to give back. Like, if you're making a car and you're charging that amount of money, at some point that car needs to come down. That price needs to come down. You don't need that money. You're making too much. Like, there has to be competition. Did you pull it up, Kim?
I
just
did.
realized that
It is
that
referred to
I've
as
never
the
heard of
Tucker
Tucker, but I heard of the
torpedo.
And the car that you're talking about is the torpedo.
Is that what you said, Kim? The torpedo?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it?
The torpedo.
What is it?
The torpedo. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where we have to understand. So that's what's so important, is to understand history, because right now we have the Tuckers and the torpedoes, and they're everywhere. They're the NFTs, they're the creations, they're the art, there's all these things. And what we can't do is let BlackRock come in and govern the USDC coin I mean, look what they did the moment they got in. They sabotaged another stablecoin for no regard to what it would do to the people invested. They don't care. And this is why people have to stand up and say, look, we don't care about you. You have no humanity. You have done nothing for the world. Why do you have our funds? Why are we doing business with such a shitty company? Right? We have to start, as people, we have to start, spreading the thing. Like to me, I think we have to when you come out of the tunnel at certain colleges, above their walkways, they have sayings, right? And you slap that saying, right? And it's what you remember. I mean, I was watching the Last Man or something with what's his name? Oh my God, one of my best quarterbacks. Guy out of Michigan, retired. Oh my God. What's the quarterback for the Tampa Bay? Won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, retired. Tom Brady. And even though after so many years, and he's like every other athlete, he remembers what the saying was when you come out of the locker room in Michigan. And what we have to do in crypto is, right now I'm seeing all these units pop up, right? But we need a crypto standard of what it is, right? We need that, that vision, but we need this mission statement of crypto, right? And it's simply one nation, Crypto Nation. It doesn't matter what everyone comes in here, no matter where you're working. We all need to say, the only thing we care about is peer-to-peer. And if you're not peer-to-peer, then we don't do business with you. It's as simple as that. Right? People should be chanting that, peer-to-peer. Is that peer-to-peer? Never mind. Is that peer-to-peer? Never mind. Is that peer-to-peer? Are you giving away some money to peer-to-peer? Right? Like, our entire goal should just basically to build everything that's peer-to-peer. Like, why are we trading coins? Like, so Ethereum, why do we go to these exchanges to buy Ethereum when we could just go buy Ethereum? Like, we should be able to we should just go to the damn miners and buy Ethereum. Like, why are we taking decentralized coin, making it centralized by going to an outlet, that then goes to Infura, who then sends to your wallet MetaMask, who are all centralized. Like, they're implementing middlemen to middlemen to middlemen. They're taxing us 3 different ways just to put it in our wallet. I mean, why don't we all just put a halt to it and say, you know what, we're just not going to buy it that way. We're going to buy it this way. And if you don't like it, we're not buying it. Like, I think we're not focused on how simple this really is. Like, why do I have to use you to get you to you? Here, I'm just going to buy Ethereum, and I want a miner to send me my Ethereum directly to me. Just put it on my cold wallet. Thank you. Have a good day. Why are we paying fees? You see what I'm saying? Like, why are we dealing with these centralizations?
Well, see, VC, it's things like this, with you doing all of this informational, that people get a better understanding of all of it. Because you don't know, when you're coming into this space and you're learning everything, it's all foreign language, and you're relearning and you're trying to buy. You don't know any other way to buy. And those platforms are very easy.
User friendly.
So it takes a lot of education.
I think, and that's what we were talking about earlier. I don't know if you were on, Kim, where Moon and I were discussing a couple of things where, kind of like the understanding of just investing, right? I think that's kind of like goes into that tool of where we need to dig in and kind of make it where, the simplicity of crypto. I think the Crypto Nation needs to come together and say, you know what we need? The Crypto Nation needs a white paper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is how you do crypto. You get a cold storage. You call the miner. This is the miner address. This is where you order. Period. Right? And then how hard is it to build a MetaMask wallet that isn't controlled by some type of centralization? Like we don't have any, I mean, it's in, we have so many developers who come to crypto because they want to be decentralized, but we have no one building a wallet that's decentralized. Like what's going on here? Like we need to think better. There's no leadership here. I'm starting, right? I mean, I'm like, we know what's happening. We see we're under attack, and we know what BlackRock's up to, and everyone's pissed off, and Cardano calls them out, and everyone's calling them out, and everyone's pissed off, and everyone's rallying. And right now, we just need to make a decision. Like, hey, while we're rallying against them, let's just rally against everybody. Let's just get this. Let's just get it right now. Like, let's just. If HBAR wants to make money, then HBAR needs to put up a website where we can buy HBAR direct.
Right. Right.
Right?
So
because
why don't they do that?
I mean, because the NFT people are like, yo, anything you want to buy, just come to me directly. So people are solving the problem.
Seeing, like, I believe I'll have to go back and look, but I think on Wax, can't you buy the NFTs with a Visa
Yes.
now?
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. You always could. Remember the boxes we were buying with visas? You remember the hot rods?
That's right.
We paid
Okay.
cash. We paid cash.
That's right.
But I think that's kind of where the education kind of comes in. I think we have to build it all the way around to where, I mean, crypto needs a white paper. Like, where do you buy? You buy directly from the miners. And if you don't have a miner that can sell us something, well then we're not buying your damn coin. And guess what your coin will be worth? Jack shit. I mean, right? What do you think, Moon? Mooney!
I'm here, I'm sorry, I thought I was on mute. I agree. I don't buy anything or get into any project unless there's a white paper. I don't. And that's the first thing I look for. When I'm looking at a project, I'm looking at an NFT, a coin, whatever the case may be, I go straight to the website. I look for the white paper. I look to see who's invested in that. I look to see who's running the show, who's the CEO, who's the CFO. I look at all of that. And all of that determines whether I get into that project or not. If it's a good project, usually credible people are invested or are interested in investing in that project. So if if I don't see a white paper and I don't see things that aren't very kosher, I'm gonna wait and see if they're in the beginning stages, because sometimes some of these projects that are starting out don't always start out right away with a white paper. And I noticed that. I didn't know that, but I learned that. So sometimes, you wait a few months after they started and they actually do come up with a white paper. So then I take them a little bit more seriously. I look for more credibility. Like I said, I look to see who's invested in it, who's looking at it. What are they doing? What's their ecosystem? What's their purpose, And that's how I decide what to jump into or not. But a white paper, for me, is a make or break.
So that's where I think, I'm watching, and, I think a little bit of this, and this, we got to remember that this crypto's a baby. Crypto's, crypto's just an ideal, that's coming along. It's so new that, I think a lot of times we kind of see all these fancy little websites and, everything's kind of here, and there's wallets and high technology and people are trading, and it's like it's so foreign. And then, but if you really look at it as a scalability zone and you look at who's running these companies and you go, these people really don't know too much of shit. Like Quan buying a bunch of Bitcoin, that was the dumbest shit I've ever seen a CEO do. And then most of these kids are 21-year-olds, and look at Sam, what's his name, Bernstein or whatever, from FTX. I mean, he made all his money doing arbitrage, right? And then he opens up an exchange, and now he's making more money. It's like, okay. I mean, like the leadership here doesn't have any real quality experience in how to, kind of piece together a scalable unit. right? Like, that's where the people have to come in and say, okay, this is really new. This is this is all just brand new. And then maybe we should look at crypto as a whitelist. Like maybe we need a white paper. Maybe crypto needs a white paper. Like why are we buying decentralized things from centralized people and then getting taxed 3 times? What's the point? And then we can just ask them, hey, while you're taxing us all this money, Coinbase, what the fuck have you done with it? Right? Hey, KuCoin, what have you done with all our money? I mean, I know I got trades where they make $15,000 to $2,000 off my trades. So where's that at? You know what I mean? Like, where is this money? Right? Ethereum, you racked up $8 trillion, right? We know 4 trillion of that went to fees. So where did that go? Like, what's going on here that the people are coming in here? I mean, because honestly, the most beautiful thing about blockchain is no one owns the shit. So the people can just go, you know what? We're just going to take the blockchain and move it over here and build our own damn neighborhoods because we don't need Ethereum because we can build an Ethereum. You know why? It's because we can take your code and just copy it. It's the best part about blockchain. It's open source. We don't need any of them. Like, why are we using exchanges that cost money? How are all these exchanges creating $100 billion? Why does CZ make him $100 billion? Because he runs Binance. Is that not suspicious? Is that not the banks? Is that not bullshit? Is that not why we're not here? Like, what are we doing? Why are we celebrating that bullshit? Fuck Binance. Like, that's way too much money. Yeah, why are we still using it? Like, aren't we here for the people? Like, why do we give a shit about if they make money off the people, we'd have to cut them off. Like, we have to put our foot down and say, no. You can have 0.1%. And if you don't want the 0.1%, then we're not using you. Like, this is the moment that the market and the people are so small that we need to draw awareness to what we need to do, and that's where the white paper has to be, right? I mean, that's kind of where I understand where the Bitcoin fanatics come from, where they're like, Bitcoin was made to be the money, and it's like, yeah, but why does 0.1% of the miners get 90% of the fucking mining? Like, I just feel like we can do better. Like blockchain, you can take blockchain and do anything you want. And that's why I like the NFTs. Because I think the people we don't need fucking Bitcoin. We don't need Ethereum. We don't need shit. We have NFTs. We can literally build on top of their shit and not even use them. It's the best part about open source. Like building on top of Ethereum. If you build a project on Ethereum doesn't make any money. It's open source. Yeah. They just exist. They just exist. That's what I mean. We could build on top of Bitcoin all day long. It just exists. I would build on top of Bitcoin all day long because Bitcoin has no owner. Bitcoin can't get turned off. Bitcoin just exists. And as long as you're not buying Bitcoin, it doesn't matter. The highway still exists. Like, why are we doing business with all these other companies? And I think that's where we need to kind of really focus in on, like, the world of crypto, like the world of peer-to-peer. Like, why are we spending so much money? I don't like the fact that CZ has $100 billion. I call that a scam. I mean, that's bullshit.
Unfortunately, this is what always happens, right?
Yes, but why?
A good idea. We talked about that with XRP and XLM and Jeff McCaleb.
But like, right? Yeah, at this point, we're the jig is up. We know now. This is the first time in history that we can take the technology and be like, we don't even need yours. It's open source. We'll just build our own. Like, you can literally any coin that you want, you could take the code and just rename it. That's it. Give up full rights of the wallet. Give up full rights of the fucking code. That's it. Burn the tokens that were in there. Get rid of all the tokens in the developer wallet. Call it a day. Put them all out there on the free source. That's it. Like you can literally go into, let's say if you took a coin and said, okay, we're going to make the people's dollar coin, right? Or the people's stable coin, right? You can go in there and create a stable coin, put it on a Bitcoin highway, and just simply say, okay, this is a stable coin. We're just going to build it out. We're going to take every coin and put it on a whitelist, and as soon as every coin is purchased or bought at the liquidity side, that just activates the coin. So right there, you're just whitelisting out until every coin is kind of purchased out, and then boom, it goes live on top of the market, and that's pretty much it. Nobody owns it. Nobody can stop it. Nobody can manipulate it. It's literally it's just there. Right? So I think the understanding of it, and this Terra Luna thing is kind of a perfect example to learn on what a crypto is, like how to build a crypto, how to, use it. They're just using a simple thing. Like when you first make a coin, you mint so many coins, and then you have to pre-sale them where people buy into the coin. And then when they buy into the coin, they basically put the liquidity in the coin, which is where a contract takes the money that you buy, wraps it into a coin, and then that coin becomes part of liquidity and is available for sale. And the more you do that, the more coins are for sale, and it just keeps going, until you have full liquidity. And the thing is most companies do is they have extra, where they have 1 billion coins and they have what's like actually in the supply, like released to the public, and they have what's like their max supply, right? And it's always like 10% is actually in the world, and every time the price gets really high, they sell off some of the coins that they have in their developer wallet and they take profit, and then they wrap more coins and put them on the market where they lower the price, but they lower the price because they've added more coins. So this is something where I think doing an understanding of how crypto is actually created, people would be like, oh, so that's how we print money. Yeah, that's how we print money in crypto. And that would educate people on what's going on. Terra Luna is a perfect example of what you can do in crypto. This coin is worth $100, worth all that, completely gets annihilated. Now they're turning around and they're using the method of using their entire supply, minting it, putting it into circulation, which keeps the price super, super low, because they know if it's super low, then more people can buy. And if more people buy, that means that there's more liquidity. And if there's more liquidity, then you can literally take the 10% of that the developer has, and you can burn off some tokens and make the price go up, and then sell and collect more money to invest, build, and continue the project. So that is kind of like what Terra is going through is kind of like a blitz coin. Like it's literally doing what every coin should do in the beginning, but don't do because it would make their coin all 0.00004. Like it would be, they would all be SafeMoon coins, and then they were like, oh, is that a poo coin? And that's pretty much what it is. When you hold back supplies, you have a higher price on your coin because it's supply and demand. But when you start adding more, supply with less demand, you lower your own price by adding tokens into the circulation. So it's an interesting moment here, and that's where, looking at this going, man, I mean, we could build our own Terra Luna. Like imagine a true coin that has no owner, like Bitcoin, except without anything. This is why I was saying like everyone should just buy Doge. Like if everyone just bought Doge and was like, all right, we're gonna operate on Doge. Like everything that we kind of go in and out of will be with Doge, right? And we just got to figure out how to go direct. Like I think that's where the main thing is like cutting out all these middlemen, because we don't want that, and just regulate them, right? And how you regulate them is you don't do business with them if they're robbing you. It's an interesting thing, but it takes where, that's what I'm saying, like there's nobody like rallying we're under attack from a very organized, society. Like they come out and they have Yellen, and then they have Warren having an argument. You think that you have someone supporting you, and then the next thing you know, they both kind of stab you in the back and say, "Oh, that's already done, bro." And we are over here thinking that anybody over there like the happy. Oh, we have a crypto friendly SEC person. No, we don't. Like, stop the bullshit already. The people need to say, you know what? Have we not proven that we have $1.6 trillion in the crypto world? And why don't we just move that to something that makes sense? Like, why don't we just move it to projects that would make sense? Like, what's the entire goal of everyone anyways, right? To get into a crypto project that's worth money. NFTs are the money. Like, NFTs are everything. Like, if we were supporting music, arts, and then just created that marketplace with NFTs, think about the music industry. Think about the gaming industries. Hundreds of billions of dollars would flow to the people. We don't even need these crypto coins. NFTs are the world. NFTs an $8 trillion business in the next 4 years. I said this a year ago. Goldman and Sachs said this a month ago. Right? It's true. It's so easy to see.
Everything is going to be.
Everything. Memberships. I mean, I'm just...
Literally starting all over again.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I'm just so into the NFT side. Like, if we build that community, everybody wins. Like, it's just so, in my head, I see 17 ways to make, $100 million instantly, like in 3 months. Like, so many people could get paid. Like, why are we fighting over these stupid coins that we don't even know will exist? Like,
You see, you're being very philosophical, and I'm listening to all this stuff, but you mentioned Terra Luna and the 10% deal. So, what is happening with that? Because I put in $500 and it was like 5 zeros past the decimal point. Like, I bought it really cheap, so I have a ton of it now, and I don't. It's not. I'm like scared. I mean, I watched you guys do the, sell at 38 and then buy again at 32, and that freaked me out. I'm like, no, I don't want to get rid of it yet. I'm not ready to cash out.
I hope you sold when it got to 43 at least.
No, did what?
Did you sell when it got to 43 at least?
Yeah, I did, but
Okay.
I mean, I've already got my money back out of it 3 times over, which is, fine.
Phenomenal.
So I was kind of just gonna ride the train a little bit, but where does the train stop, and how much of this FUD that Ellen's tweet, which wasn't a real tweet, and all this other kind of crap they're putting out there?
Yeah. So I mean, so how the crypto world works is like the coin. When you create a coin, right? You decide how many coins there are, right? So you say, okay, I'm going to make a coin, and there's going to be 100 million. And then you go over there and you open up a whitelist, and all these people come and buy the whitelist, and they buy the coin for a lower price because it just came out, because they're getting the bottom, like kind of like the 0005 price, right? And then they
XRP is a prime example.
Yeah, and they just build up the coin, and the coin starts to go up in value, and eventually the coin goes from 0005 to, instead of 5 zeros, it goes to 4 zeros and 3 zeros. And then when there's enough liquidity, then the people cut off the whitelist and say, okay, we're good to go. Then they move it over to the public, and they put it on the public and say, okay, this is for sale. And then people get to look at it and go, oh, that coin has, 30 million such and such, and 400 BNB worth of liquidity. So that seems like a good project. And that liquidity is locked for 5 years, which means they can't rug pull me, right? So then all of a sudden, that opens up the gate to where people can buy and things can go, you can start moving forward and you start reading. Then after that, once they've invested in that, because what they're doing is they're getting in early, because they're not really investing in the project, they're investing in the profits, right? Meaning that, hey, if this catches fire and I'm in this early, I got to make money. But what they don't realize is that there's 30% of the people already in the project ahead of them, and some of them have huge margins ahead of them. So they, just like we've been doing with Luna right now, we've been raping the profits because we're in so early. You know, these guys, there's some guys who put in 1,000, they were 8, 9, 10 grand. I mean, they're already up 3, 4 grand in 3 days. And
Right.
and what's happening is the people that are coming in are like, yo, this is so cheap, right? And what's happening is normally as the coin, this is how you add. So you, let's say you take 50%, or you say that 30% of your total supply of coins have to be sold, right? And you want 400 BNB worth of liquidity, right? And the white list goes on and on and on until that number's hit. Once that number's hit, they close the white list. Now you have your 30% of coins that have been sold and out there. Now you have 70% of coins left. When you go to the open market, the developer has those coins. They own those coins. They then take those coins and say, okay, let's take 5% of the coins that we have here and sell them on the open market, right? Take the BNB for them. And then what we're going to do is take the BNB, and it's called wrapping. This is how you add liquidity to any project. You wrap BNB or whatever coin it's paired with. You wrap it to the other coin that is the project. So we would wrap the Luna coin with BNB, and those two coins would go inside of the liquidity, because what you're doing is you're giving the Luna coin value because BNB actually has value. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, by wrapping it, you're adding more coins to the circulating supply, which then means that based on economics, the more coins there are, the less value the coins are. Because now you went
Right.
from 40 million coins to 70 million coins. That's like you've seen Luna go from 2, 3 million coins to 6, 7, right? So what they actually did was flooded the market with their coins, because they want the coin to be 0.00005. Because that means that people are looking at it like, I can afford that shit, right? So they start buying in heavy volumes, right? And what they're trying to decide is that, how do you scale the business or the coin back to what it was if you changed the mechanisms that originally made it $100, right? And that's where we're at right now. How to take Luna back to 100, which I think is impossible, because you just tripled or at least doubled the supply, which means you can only go from 114. You have to cut that in half. So no matter what, you can only go to 50, right? Then you take the mechanisms away that actually created the $100 coin, and you say, well, you got half of that destroyed, so which means you can only go to half of your 50, which is $25, right? Which is operating on half of what you were doing prior, right? So that's the dilemma right now that they're in, is like, how do they create their $100 Luna coin again without the mechanisms that originally existed? And this is going to be where the coins that they made, the developer wallet is going to have to take, where they had 70% of the coins and they dumped 50% of the coins. The last 20% are going to have to be burned to bring down the zeros, to raise the prices again to where they are, a respectable project, right? While keeping...
And that burn comes from the retail investors, or does it come from the
That
entire
comes from the
pool?
developer. The developer's pool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they burn the coins.
Because I was gonna say, because technically speaking, we have the address for those coins.
Yes,
Surely
we
they
hold
can't
them.
just reach the vault and burn
No,
them.
they can't burn our
Okay.
coins. So what people are talking about is, what they're saying is that, Quan came out and said, hey, why don't we take 100% of the coins right now, burn 50% of them, right? Just say they're worthless. Then take that's what they're trying to say, is like, they're trying to take your coin and say, hey, listen, we have a snapshot, and these coins are like, basically say that they're going to create an entire new coin, a Luna coin, right? Like, basically create a new Luna coin with a new address. Take all the money out of the liquidity, move it into the new coin. Like a SafeMoon went from SafeMoon to SafeMoon V2 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they're trying to think of, and say, well, why don't we just grab all the money right now, take a snapshot, and the earliest investors will get back the money that everyone just kind of put in, to basically say, hey. But see, the problem is, if you do that, what you're creating is a Ponzi scheme.
Well, yeah, because you took money
From
from future investors
yes, and paid old investors.
and paid the old investors and then gave nothing back to the new investors.
Yes. So that's where they're kind of like, well, then you fuck over all these people who started believing in your project, right? And the reality is that you can't. I mean, of all the people who originally invested lost money, right? They're just going to have to hold. That's just the way it goes. And they can, now that there's liquidity being built in here, Terra Luna can then start burning their coins, but they're going to make profit for everybody. Now, moving forward, they're going to have to come up with some type of pool, some type of utility, some type of utility that basically, why are we holding, this is what I'm saying, like, why are we holding Terra Luna? I mean, you and I know why we're holding Terra Luna is because we're making a shitload of money right now. But in reality, what the fuck does Terra Luna do for us?
Nothing.
Right? Nothing.
Matter of fact, I owned zero until the crash started.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of where the philosophy is like, why are we, now that we understand what this is, right? Like, why are we holding coins that don't really or might possibly have a future? Like, what's our goal here, right? That's what I'm kind of like thinking, like, isn't our goal to get rich? Like, isn't our goal to get enough money that once we get it, I'm a firm believer in this one simplicity, that the average normal person doesn't want to have $100 million because they don't need it. What they want is money to do what they want, take care of their family, and see other people smile. And I know that when they make enough money, that they're the first ones to say, man, I'll fund that project. Like, they will give back. Because society doesn't want a bunch of 100 millionaires. Society wants a bunch of, wealthy people, like people who just survive, like people who are doing well, like people who don't have to go to work, people who get $5-6 grand a month off residual. You know what I mean? Like, exactly. That's the concept that people want. People don't need $1 million, but people want security. Like, hey man, if I was getting $5 grand a month, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, most people only average $32,000 a year. The average household makes $55,000, and that's like 4 people working. Like, it's crazy if you break down the numbers. And right now, if you look at 3 years ago, before the pandemic, they did a report that the average American household only had $500 in savings. Like, that's fucking insane. So when you think about where we were before the crisis and where we are, now they're thinking about actually, the reason why they actually raise inflation, there's 2 things that make them raise inflation. 1, how much does the average household have in the bank? And 2, how many people are working or not working and there are jobs available? And if there's a lot of jobs available, people aren't working, that means that they have money, and it doesn't matter if it's on paper or they know about it, it just means that there's enough money that they don't give a fuck to work. But if the other people have money in the bank, they can say, well, we got 2 things here. We got a lot of jobs and no one wants to work, which means they have money or they're making money. And we have the real people that, we can track all their shit, and they have, 2,000-3,000 in the bank right now, and the average is 5. So we can raise inflation right now because they can afford to pay it. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at those numbers and you say, man, why don't we just get rid of all the middlemen? Like, why are we dealing, if we just simply used NFTs to get rid of the middlemen, right? And created NFTs for all our favorite brands, Chevys, Fords, whatever, right? And said, hey man, if you're not doing NFTs with our projects, then we're not buying your damn trucks, right? And literally force them into paying the massive crypto society. And the society just pays people based on simplicity. Like, if people are buying into something, it's like, oh, that project's going to do well, I like that project. And there's so much money that gets wasted through fees, bullshit, and all these other things that if you give it to the people, they don't need that much to survive. And I'm a firm believer that the art, the music, the ability to create things, just normal, like, things that we spend money on is so capably made in mom and pop land. that we forgot. You know what I mean? Like, why are we buying a shitload of plastic shit from China anyways? Like, let's put some factories up in normal towns and make, you know, better plastic products. Nobody gives a shit if they pay 50 cents or $1. You know what I mean? If it's $1 and you say, look, it's American made. Like, what happened to that? You know what I mean?
What happened to that was,
Sam died.
yeah, I mean, there's so many geopolitical forces at play, and you know this.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's,
But that's what I mean.
yeah, there's so many global elitists playing this 4D chess game, and everybody that's in the game, whether they want to be or not, is getting moved around like a pawn, and they don't really. We don't even realize we're being played because we're busy being distracted instead. But I mean, I guess, you know, when I look at something like this Terra Luna deal, and the potential that it represents. I mean, what is it up? It was up 500% yesterday. It's up, you know, 150% today. I mean, those are insane. Those are insane numbers, and it generates money out of nowhere, and so it's almost a concept that it goes against what we know and are programmed to believe. The only way you can make money is if you earn money, right? That's the only way you can make it. Is you've got to go out there and you got to work for it or whatever. That's how almost all of it's programmed. So for this thing to you just throw money at it and it just shows up with more money at your door the next day. It's really foreign concept, you know? And so a lot of people don't believe it. A lot of people are like, okay, where's the gotcha? A lot of people don't.
Yeah.
There's no way that works, and they won't even do it. The sheep won't do it because there's no way that's right. So like,
and there's two sides to that, because some of it is right. Like there is an end to this, because I mean, honestly, every business in the world is a Ponzi scheme, right? Because there's only so many people who can buy a product, and only so many people who are making money by selling a product. Like, so it's the misconception of when people were creating entrepreneurship by selling like Amway and all these other things, and people are like, oh, that's a Ponzi scheme. The companies created that verbiage so that people wouldn't be entrepreneurs.
Right.
You know?
Right. I mean, but I mean, I guess, you know, where is the exit with Luna, right? Like, where is that? The only people that know are the people that are pulling the levers.
Exactly. And you know, we can speculate and say, okay, you know, what I need to know is, like, to me is like, all right, so because I understand how to build a coin, where a coin is, how to make it, what you need to do. It needs some type of like reason, right? And just like I tell people, like, what's the purpose of Bitcoin, right? It doesn't have a purpose. There is no purpose. What's the purpose of Ethereum? Smart contracts. But do you really need them? Because there's so many other options. Why are you paying that? So there's like all these things, and I'm like, Terra Luna needs to come up with a purpose. Like, what does it do? What does it create? Right now, it's just, you know, it's kind of like, you know, it has its Anchor protocol. It does have other protocols that it runs off of. So that's kind of how it shares the wealth all the way around. You know, it has staking and pooling through other things. It had its peg system. So there's a lot here that they have to actually bring back. So,
well, what would they peg to, since they can't use UST, or would they go to USDC? What would they peg to?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, they want to go back to the UST, so that's what the kind of battle is, because they need to reestablish, you know, their liquidity, right? But their liquidity.
Well, I guess the other question I would have is, you know, it feels like this was a very amateurish move by someone who should know better.
Are you talking about Quan?
Than to fall for the trap that was laid in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know,
like, hey, we want you to do this off the books so that we don't, you know, so that we're not, you know, like, really off the books. This transaction size, you want me to do it off the books?
Oh, you want me to do this $4 billion transaction off the books with blockchain technology? Okay.
Right. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know. But you that's what I mean. Like, you have to understand, like, I mean, the kid, I mean, I think he's like 25 or 26. I mean, he's a child, man. He's 27 or something. He has these guys have been building crypto and blockchain and for the last 4 years. So they're like 21-year-old people who kind of never, ever really had any type of business skill. and all of a sudden this magic internet money blockchain, which is this is what I'm saying, like the blockchain technology is so phenomenal. It's like this power that just blesses you with finances. And right now we got these children playing with it, like, oh my God, and the adults need to take over. Like we need to be like, all right. So we've had fun. It's been nice. Like, it's been nice.
Give
But
me the lighter.
yeah,
Give me the lighter.
yeah. I mean, just hand it over. I know you like fire. I get it. It's cool. But now it's time for this is where the problem is, because the older generation doesn't understand the technology as well as the younger generation, and this is where we're kind of in that middle moment of like, okay, adoption and scalability meet. Like, what are we doing here, right? And that's where what I don't see, because that's what I was talking about with Moon, was kind of like I see a lot of these neighborhoods being built, but we need a nation. You know what I mean? Like we need that thing that we slap on the wall every day on our way out, like peer to peer. Like no matter how this goes, peer to peer. No matter how this happens, we don't pay more than a 0.1%, right? Like no, we don't use any exchange unless it's 0.01, right? You don't get anything else. And if you don't like it, we'll just cold wallet everything. Fuck yeah. Right? That's what we need to teach. Like that's it's almost like trying to instill the great, lessons of survival in crypto while it's already kind of being like, 100 miles an hour. Like it's like we have to go back to the walls and be like, oh, look, this is how it's done. Like this is it. Like the only way to control this is to be in control of it. Like why are we paying these middlemen? Right? And I think the best part is that by having such a small community and them seeing the corruption and seeing, because before you could never see it, you could only speculate it and you could only explain it, and people are, oh yeah, okay. And now they're like, oh shit, these people are evil. It's like, yes, we've been trying to tell you this shit. So now we're at the point where it's like, we don't need any more, we don't have to speculate anymore. They're out to get you. So now let's figure out how to win this game. Like let's huddle the fuck up. Like that's what we need. We need to huddle up here. And that's where
So how are you? Can I ask how you're reading Luna's charts whenever there's so beyond manipulation, right? Like how do you even? How do you? That's what I was trying to figure out earlier. I'm like, okay, how did he know to call that top at 38? And then call the bind at 32 when this shit's been all over the map for 2 days.
Well, because you have like no matter what's happening here, right? You got to realize that the manipulation, that's the part you're reading, right? So if I'm looking at this coin and I'm saying to myself, okay, where are they going to take liquidation? Where are they going to add liquidity, right? And that's normally at certain percentages, 10%, 12%, right? But normally 10% is the normal, right? They'll take a 10% gain and they'll like most traders are happy there. Most traders if you're 10xing or anything like that, you get so used to 10x's, you just use 10% gains, right? So you always take it at like the 7, the 8% type area, right? So when I'm seeing these runs happening, I'm like, okay, they have to take it at this push, because that's where they're going to sell their coins, because they're going to add liquidity. And normally by the time people are selling off, you're going to say, okay, they're going to get a 5% sell off. They're going to buy and sell 5%. So we're going to look at about 10%-ish. And we're going to put that level in. And now after that happens, we'll kind of level out there, because while this is all happening, there's more people buying. Because they're like, oh shit, the dip, right? So that offsets the other 5% that they're taking, because people are buying at that moment, and it depends on the time of day, right? So when we're in the middle,
right, because Asia makes a whole different play on stuff.
Asia, Europe, the real reason why we're in trouble here, man. Honestly, crypto was built for inflation. The reason
Right.
why we're in trouble here is because the prime minister in India is not letting India actually trade, and they're the largest crypto traders. And Asia is not in the game because of their problems. Now, if you put them in the game, man, we're still at 2.6 trillion, man. Like, we're rolling. Like,
Right.
people wouldn't even be sweating this. The best thing about the crypto market is that it's the universal market. Like, when have you
Right,
ever
it's
had a product?
everybody.
Yeah, the whole world can buy this shit.
Right.
Like when you got to say to yourself, like, all right, my market, my selling went from, I had an audience of 100,000, now I have 100 million. That means that your sales can go down 90% and still you can still make the same amount of money. Like that's what people don't understand. Like this is all numbers. This is the beautiful thing about this. Why I love this shit is just numbers. Like you can do anything you want to do, but you can't beat the numbers. Numbers don't lie, right? And we all know if you're in a sales game and a marketing game, the number is 10, right? You want to sell 10 things, you need 10%. You know what I mean? You got to reach out to the 100 people. You know,
Yeah.
you got to get
That's right.
You got to get it done, and that's the number. So when you increase that number with a worldwide, we can have problems in all different spots, but we would still be successful because of the numbers that are out there. So that's where we're kind of like, you know, that was the kind of thing when I was watching, you know, I knew we were in trouble with SHIB because when SHIB got listed on Robinhood, it didn't move like it was supposed to. And I was like, India's not buying, Asia's not buying, where this is a fucked up situation. Right? That's when I knew there was no money. Because people were scared.
Okay, so we're only playing with part of the players. Is what you're saying?
Oh yeah, we're dealing with probably 26%.
Right.
Like we're America's fighting on its own right now. Australia's
Are
out
we?
there. Yeah, we got Aussies out there. Australia and America are kind of doing this battle here. We're missing Asia and India. India is literally 65% of this fucking crypto market. Like they're massive, 65 to 80%, man. They're huge. Like they're massive. So when
Are you? Oh, okay, so are you in a situation like this? Because I feel like we're gonna see something like Luna happen again and again. Like I have this sneaking suspicion, like this was just the first experiment by BlackRock, right? Somehow.
You're gonna see. I mean, the world you know what happened here was you got to realize, like I think when we look at these, you know, fancy websites and, you know, these cool little crypto things, and we're looking at 2.7 trillion, and you're like, yo, this money's flying, like, and you can make 5, 6, 14,000 bucks in a day, and you're just like, it takes you to a level of you think this is big, right? But you don't know that you're just dealing with your 100 houses in your neighborhood. This is yet to begin. This is not even close. And the people who run these projects, Polkadot, Cardano, Solana, all these people are all looking at each other going, yo, they could put us all out of business. Because they have, people don't like, you know, like, I don't know how long you've been following, but I said 6 months ago that BlackRock had $27 trillion. And everyone was like,
They have.
yeah, everyone was like, nah, they got like 7 trillion. I said, no, they tell you they have 7. They control 27 trillion. 6 months later, everyone's like, oh, well, when you add all this up, no shit. Like, if you don't know, you just don't know. Right? I know they control 27 fucking trillion dollars. Right? That's a lot of money. That's more than Asia. I think it's more, fuck, man. At the end of the day, I think it's more than the GP of America and, like, Asia together.
Right.
It's something crazy.
It's a nutty number.
It's massive. So when they figure out how to manipulate, you know what I mean? We got problems, right?
Yeah, right. Well, and plus they just sent a chill through every project developer who actually had a legitimate project.
Yes.
Just got, just got hit, right? Even if they weren't Luna,
Oh,
all
yeah.
of them are like, holy shit,
Yeah, who's next?
right?
Right?
Right, who's next? I mean, even, and the only reason, guys like XRP and XLM are kind of like, we're good is because they're playing the game with BlackRock.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
any of these other ones that are trying to shake things up or, do something in the space that is truly independent and has
Right, the purpose of what this was made for.
right, exactly. The reason we even
The reason why we're here. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, now they're all like, hell. But what do we do now? Because they don't have the freaking army that BlackRock does for this.
I mean, the fucking America and Asia don't have 27 trillion.
No.
So when you start,
you talk about too big to fail.
yes,
It's too big to conquer.
Yes.
So that's what my worry is.
they should. They need to be That's where the people have to realize that the projects don't survive unless the people have they. And it's sad, but we have to look at it and go, okay, listen, man. At the end of the day, we have to bring this down to a very. And it comes down to like, the ability. That's what I'm like trying to say to people, like, man, we got to huddle up because you have to create a truly decentralized play, and that's where the Bitcoin people are like, Bitcoin. I'm like, you're not decentralized because there's so many people controlling the minting, right? And that means you're centralized.
It has to be a fixed. It has to be a fixed pool to begin with.
Yeah, it has to be
Because,
like all the coins on the table, no minting.
Right.
This is the way it is, and this is what we're going into. And then
Right.
that one coin is the people's coin, and from
Right.
there we build projects.
Which is, the lauded goal of XRP and XLM before they became corrupted.
Whiteheads, yeah.
Right. So, right.
Right, that's why a lot of people are sitting there like they don't understand. They're like, for them, and I'm like, they already sold out, man. Like you guys don't
Right.
understand. Like this whole thing it's already railed. Like you think they're not going to take the money? Like this is where the people have to go. Man, that sounds really good. You guys do your projects. We're gonna do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the beauty of the NFT, right? Because you can literally take. Every company in the world needs to do one thing. They need the public to buy their shit. That's it. They want to sell you their crap. And if the people turn around and really think about it and go, man, if we take away all the marketing to all the major brands and flow it into an NFT ecosystem, which then creates art, music, literally entertainment, movies, TV shows. It could literally fund so many people. It's so much money. The gaming system. Fortnite's making $326 million a quarter, selling skins, right?
Right.
Right. There's so much money. What was $516 million of COD the first 2 weeks of release? There's hundreds of millions. 500 million. We're talking.
Well,
billions.
remember what Mojang sold Minecraft for? Like 5 or 6 years ago, he sold it for $4 billion to Mojang.
Yes.
$4 billion for the game, and Microsoft's been milking that cow ever since.
Yes. And that's what I mean. Like when you think about the entertainment and what people have to realize, like, hey man, we're not. We might be small alone, but together we could take BlackRock on, right? Because we can create a $3 trillion market. Here's the problem: is people don't really know is that the crypto market has hit $8 trillion. It's actually hit $9 trillion already. The problem is you didn't see it, and the reason why is because Ethereum took half of it. Right? Ethereum did $9 trillion in transactions last year. 40% of that was gas fees.
And where does that gas go?
Right, in their pocket.
Exactly.
So that's what I mean. Now you take that 4 trillion and add it to the 2.6 we have. We're at 6.6.
Wow.
But nobody knows that, and no one's seen that because they took it. So the people have created a $10 trillion market cap in crypto, but it doesn't exist because we've been paying the middleman. We've been paying the Binance, the CZs, the 100 billionaires.
Every time you move it, we get a piece of the pie.
Right.
Yeah.
Why are we using that trash? Why are we
Well,
not? You know, that's the thing. Like, that's what it is.
I had this conversation last night with somebody. I was actually talking to them because they were asking about Luna and stuff, and I said, well, she said, well, why do we need to get our stuff off the exchange? I said, because it's not your stuff. She said, what do you mean? I said, that's the exchange's address. It's not your address.
Yeah.
You're running money through it, but until you actually migrate those coins to your address for your wallet, that's the exchange's wallet.
Yes.
And so whenever Coinbase came out and said,
we can take your money.
we can take your money into bankruptcy and screw you. And everybody's like, what, you can do what? Well, yeah. Didn't you know? So, and then I had this conversation with her like, okay, well, in the case of Luna, at any point in time, any of these exchanges can say, no more trades.
Right.
You can't move your shit. Good luck to you. And we're going to delist it.
Yeah.
And like, you don't have, there's no customer service for that.
No.
There's no government. Hey, where would I get my money back?
Right.
It's just, you just lost it.
You just lost
So
your
that's
money.
why that's why it's always a big deal to, keep your stuff off the exchange unless you're actually making transfers. And then she goes, well, what about exchanging it for straight out of your wallet? And I said, well, you can do that, but your fees are so high, you spend more money doing that than going through the exchange. It's like it's a rigged game, right? So the fees are lower to go through the exchanges, but your exposure is much higher, right? Your security's gone.
Right.
So, but it still encourages everybody to go to the exchanges. And honestly, I know everybody likes to rag on KuCoin, but at least KuCoin's been doing right by Luna as far as all this goes.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
mean they're happy. I mean the only thing they took away their their main trades and what they were building, like the 10x's and all that. That's because it just couldn't. There was no way to pay
Couldn't
it.
support it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, they're running it. They're keeping it up. They're looking at it like we're gonna run this machine until whatever happens, because it's people have money in it. But that's what I'm saying.
I'm watching this wedge form for Luna because it's been forming all day, right? Trading sideways between 4 and 3.
Yeah.
And are we expecting it's going to pump again?
So that's where. So this is where. This is kind of like learning the amount of people, right? Where are we at as far as like the amount of money that can go in here, right? Because it's already. I mean, shit. We know how much people in our Discord have already taken out, right?
Right.
So we're thinking
Right.
about. So we're sitting there going, man, how much more can come in here, right? There's a limit to the market, and at some point you hit that limit, right? And once that limit is hit for a vast amount of time without any more marketing or possibilities, that's when the coin, then people are like, well, fuck it, I'm going to go ahead and take profits. And that's where you get that 50% of profits taken out of nowhere. And that's where you see that massive dump down. And then everybody else who already got out was like, oh, time to buy. And it starts that cycle again.
We get that cycle. Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Kind of cannibalistic, I guess.
Yes, yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, okay, here we are just trading against each other for a certain point, and it's a fucking game. It's a game. It's a video game. Those who are better make more.
Is it one where it's worth? I know you're saying trade out 75%, take your profits, come back in at 25% here and 25% here, but that span, like between 38 and 32, for example, at 25%, and then 25% at 30, didn't get you back the 50% you sold out. So you're slowly whittling away your position. Is that intentional, or is
Well,
that
yeah.
just?
So what you're doing is, because eventually, what we're doing by being safer there is, if it doesn't, let's say, like, so a lot of these guys are moving their stop markets up, right? And they're just keeping it like, so right here is at 3.1, so you'd be sitting at like 2.7. So you want to be about four clicks behind it, and you just want to track it, right? And as soon as it taps out on you, you just wait for it to reset. So these guys would have tapped out at the top of the double hills there, and they're just waiting for it to basically set new highs. So then they would have got back in on that huge ass kind of like dip, and it finally came up and then came back down. You're back in at 3.2, 3.4, 3. It runs back up to its 3.8, and you get out. And you're like, all right. So what you're doing is we're waiting to see what it's going to do. So like right now, notice how that we've been out of it. Now it's kind of like trading sideways, but now it's falling on us, right? And we're just sitting here going, okay, so now we're just waiting for where is it going to go, right? So it kind of keeps us in a safety mode of longevity, because when we do catch the run, the run will be a 4.4, right?
Okay.
But the drop will be a 2 or a 1.5, but we won't be in it, And if we're in it, we're only in it 25%. Right, and,
Right.
and then we market ourselves out like, oh, all right, that's kind of where it is. So people right now this is where people are developing the wedge. Do we go from 3 to 4, 3 to 4, 3 to 4, right? And normally, if you map that out, that's going to be a 10 to 15% gain, and you can count on them to start lowering that, like, because people feel like, okay, I went 10%, and then people sold at me on 4.4, and I see they're selling at 4.2, and then people are like, oh, I'm selling at 4, and then they sell at 3.8, right? And it's like inexperienced traders, making their margins even smaller.
And tightening the wedge down.
Yeah, tightening the wedge down.
Until it either shoots up or shoots down. So right now, though, don't you feel like the way things are going, just the sheer volume of activity and everything else, don't you think we're still looking at more upward movement?
Yeah, because I think everybody's kind of, because you got to realize we just went through 2 days of FUD. Luna won't recover. Luna's dead. Luna's dead. Luna's dead. Luna's dead. And then all of a sudden, Luna's been delisted. Luna's delisted. and then all of a sudden today, we're like, Crypto.com just relisted. This just relisted, right? So now you got all these people who are coming back, and all of a sudden, it's like, maybe it's not dead, right? It takes a little bit of time for people to kind of like realize that it's not dead yet, right? This is just going to take one moment of something to happen, where literally once they got the liquidity back in there, and I think they're getting pretty close to that. Once they have the liquidity back and they start burning tokens slowly, and all of a sudden that price starts to just do-doom, 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 and starts to run, the people will come. They will be like, you know what, fuck that, I'm getting in now. People love to catch the green candle, right?
Yeah, of course they do. But the thing is, like, so for example, I'll go ahead and tell you, I'm sitting on 25 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to do with it. Like, I don't have enough experience or emotional discipline to not just want to just either cash the whole thing out and make 15 grand, or ride the thing to $1 and make millions of dollars. Like, I don't know how to regulate myself.
So here's what you do, right? Because you have to say to yourself, okay, because this ain't the only pony in the show, right? That's why I was telling people, like, you sell your 75, we're taking, whatever your 50 to $100, we're buying ape, right? And then as things move on, you go 25, and you ride it up. And what it's doing is it's teaching them to actually, like, a habit of selling and setting stop markets, right? Because it's good to have this type of volatility, because this is going to happen to a couple of different coins here and there. The market's going to be like this moving forward for about a year and a half anyways. But people have to learn, like, okay, I need to get these gains, right? And then they'll start, like you were analyzing, all right, so if I go in here in the 25%, I'm kind of like, I'm slowly whittling, but what we're looking for is that big push, but we're playing it safe. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then eventually we're just going to tighten up and be like, you know what? It's not giving us the money we need. So what we're going to do is, when it has its big push, we're just going to sell out, and we're not going back in until this level. Right? We need the 10% level, otherwise we don't enter. Right?
Okay.
And then no matter what happens, if it crashes, you're like, oh fuck it, I made 12 grand. You know?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you're not mad about it. You're just like, oh man, I'm up. That's the beauty of the play, right? Because this is really about making money.
Well, that's just it, right? I don't. You know, you get that greed that sets in, right? That's what keeps gamblers at the table,
Yeah.
right? And,
Yeah.
And then they walk away, and then, well, I was up, and then I was really down.
Yeah.
And that's. And I can't stay up 24/7 watching this thing tick back and forth.
Well, that's why you do put your stop markets in there, and you can set multiples, right? I mean, that's kind of what the things are. Moon, are you still there? Moony Moon. And so, kind of what
I am.
and so Moon wants to learn how to trade, right? So this is a good coin for Moon to kind of practice with. New traders are. Everyone here, that's why I'm always like, I'm using this coin also to kind of be like, yo, put your stop market here, move your stop market. Like you hear people go, man, that's a full-time job. It is, right? Because you don't need a lot of coins to move your stop market. So like, this is a good time for like Moon to get in and put like $50 and just kind of like catch a bottom and then watch the top and put the stop market in and kind of like roll, because we just want to keep the stop market like right now how this bottom is here. Now we're starting to see a little movement. We can get back in it. That's 3-2. If once the next candle gives us a little more favor, and then you just keep that 1/100th of a thousandths number. Like you stay 7 or 8 back. You just kind of move with it. And that's
Are you sharing your screen, or are you on TikTok Live or something?
Oh no, we're on live. Yeah, we're on Twitter.
Oh, you're on Twitter Live. Okay.
So yeah, and I'm just let me see if I can share it on this thing here. And this is kind of like the thing. So I mean, listening to everything he went over, Moon, what do you kind of think, like, from the perspective of what you, because Moon kind of sits back, does a lot of research, and there's a lot of stuff in there, and it's like, when do you pull the trigger? What do you do? What is Luna gonna run? I mean, what are you thinking when you're thinking about Luna, Moon?
I never invested in Luna anyway because it wasn't a project that I liked. I'm talking personally, my choice though. Even with everything going on, I don't think I would invest in Luna because there's other things that I want to put my money into that I have been waiting for this particular moment to happen for me to go in. If you were to go into Luna now, I mean, Luna is like high risk, sitting at the poker table. But if you feel like it's gonna go, then it's now or never,
Well, I mean, I bought into it when it was a whole lot cheaper than it is right now. I mean, it was.
Yeah, you're up 15 grand already.
Yeah, I'm up a lot on it. It's mainly a matter of disciplining myself and watching where to maximize profit and minimize risk.
So
when this thing is basically moving around like a little snake, right? Like it's just for me, and watching these dips and watching these highs and these lows and these valleys. Yeah. Thanks for sharing, DC. So now I can see what you're talking about.
No,
I can't tell
when to pull the trigger.
I'm supposed to make a move one way or the other. Yeah.
So I would say, I mean, kind of like, and this is where Moon was talking about this the other day. She wants to learn kind of like the trading side of it, and this is where, what you're really looking at here is you back out first, and if you're looking at the screen here, we're going to look at the dips here. So I'm looking at these longer dips, right? And then the more of the power dips in between here. So this is the middle one. So I would look at this and go, okay, that's kind of like the low 27, right? So I don't want to give back that much. So I like this little floor here, like kind of on this last wick. And I'm okay if it starts showing me at this point, because what I'm looking for is over time, right? So if we bought in, okay, so kind of look at the chart, and I say to myself, all right, so if we bought in this chart way down here, right? And we were running, at this point, this was kind of a bottom here, right? Now this was 5:14, the beginning of the day. We're looking at 2.4, right? And I have to say to myself that, okay, if we've bought in the morning, and from the morning to now, there should be at least this much more money, right? 28.5. You see what I'm saying? Like that means that we're gaining on our product, right? We're gaining on our position, right? You see how the wick actually just wicked that? So I wasn't even looking at that, but to me that would be us gaining position 28.5, 28.6, and that's where that wick hit. So then I have to say to myself, man, from here to here, like shit. I mean, even if people were taking profits, like where do they buy back in? I would have to say that the buy back in is going to be here at least the 29 mark. So
I was about to say 30. So yeah.
yeah. But you always want to be. You got to count for the wick.
Mhm.
So whatever number you think, add the wick. But I'd say, okay, that 30 is the number. See that wick? You see?
Yeah, it went down to 29. Yeah.
You have to add the wick. So to me, I put my stop market and say, okay, I'm going to stop mark here at 28.5, right below the wicks here, like this, like literally give it a little bit of space there. So 28.5 is good for me. And I set my stop market and say, if it wicks there, then I'm out. Okay? Now, I'm only buying back if we actually start to break up, right? And then I start looking at where's the support line of the original, right? Of where this thing goes, actually breaks out, right? And that would be right above these lines here. So I'm not buying back until I'm getting into this zone here. So I would say, okay, do not buy back. Here's my top of 34. Yeah. So I would put my...
About 30, 34? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like 30, 33 in here. Like I want to see a push past that because I'm getting low here. And I want to see some type of movement back up because I want to catch the run. But more than likely, I'm going to get some type of like push up, retrace, and then up, which would be a higher high, and which would be going up into this section here. So I would be entering, you know, like right here. This is a sell off, and then it's because it's also. I mean, I sometimes my clocks are all fucked up. But what are we? 12. What time we got? I mean, 12 something.
It's
1
12
o'clock?
Central right now.
Yeah, so 12 Central, 1 Eastern for Moon. So right now I would say to myself, this is where Asia would buy, this is where all these other companies would buy, like all these other countries, and right now I just don't see them, they're not here. So I would be happy triggering a sale here going, I'm happy sitting out of this until we get to a safety zone, which would be back into the 32s, 33s. Because I want to catch this at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. when America comes back online and it goes, oh shit, there's a dip, right? So that's where I would be buying back on the dip in the 32s or something like that. I would say, all right, give me 25% of it back on 32. And then the next would be 33, another 25%. And then I would buy a little more at 35, and then we would see if we could ride up. Because I'm looking to catch the ride. Now, if this ride starts to slow down and not actually hit these higher highs, that's where I'm going to change my strategy. That's where I will sell at that top and I won't buy back until 29. Because the thing about it is that I expect it to get lower than where it is. You know what I mean?
So, yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think.
Well, if you can't reach your high, then your lower should be lower.
Right.
Because
So-
more people are going to start selling because they think it's not getting anywhere. You see what I'm saying? Like right now, you're starting to witness that.
You're using market price stop limiting, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and you just sold.
Mhm.
I guess you just sold everything you had.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're expecting it to dip even further for the next several hours, and then you're gonna buy back in.
Yeah. Because there's no Asia, there's no India. You know what I mean? Like we're heading into 1 o'clock at night. There's just no one to buy it, and people are gonna sit there and be like, "Fuck it, I'm taking profits," because they're gonna get scared. And then tomorrow morning, you know, the 5 o'clock, people are gonna wake up and be like, "Damn, this shit dipped again," and they're gonna buy because they're like thinking to themselves, "If it's at 2.2, it'll go to 4." It starts this vicious cycle. And then eventually, as the coin has, this is where it has, this is why you have to have a good project, is because the coin has to create some type of momentum, right? Which is burn a coin, which is, you know, come up with some news, which is, you know what I mean? So,
Right.
so far they're not winning the battle because they're getting his decision to cut everyone out and kind of like, you know, what his decision was, I mean, he should not be in control of Luna, and that's why they have the validators who are like, ugh, we're taking control of this.
Right.
Because he doesn't know what he's fucking talking about. He wants everyone to get all their money back who originally bought in because he's scared to death because they lost all their money. And it's like, well, I mean, that's kind of fucking how life goes, bro. Now,
Right. It's not.
yeah,
It's
you
not
made a
even stock
mistake.
market.
You bought fucking Bitcoin instead of gold and silver like a dumbass, and you should be responsible for that. How about you take your hundreds of millions of dollars and put them back in the project?
Right.
Like, why are you? Don't take it from the people who are coming in here supporting the liquidity, because now we're rebuilding this project. So if you don't know what to do with the project, then get out of the project. This is new.
Do you set an alarm and wake up at 4 o'clock on the East Coast? I guess is what you're saying.
Well, no. So right here, okay. So see how I got out right there. So now what I'm going to do here is real simple, right? And this is where I got to take time and I'll have a class on it because Moon wants to get into kind of like trading. But right here, I don't have to worry about it because I'm going to look at my little wick here and I got my 3 right there, right? So all I have to do is go over here to stock market. I'm going to put in here, I'm going to buy at 0003. We'll go with a 3-2. Right, because we want to break this, we want to have some type of movement here. But we're going down so far that when it starts to reverse, it's actually going to, you know, run because there is, you know, that's where people are going to buy. They're going to start buying in. Like, oh, this is so cheap that I got to buy this shit. So I'm going to put my 0031, I'm going to put 25%, buy Luna, right? Now I'm going to put the 0032, that's where I'm going to buy another 25%. Right, and that's going to give me my 50% in there. And now what I'm looking for is, since I don't own anything, I'm going to have my stop market on, but just in case it goes up and buys, what I'm going to do is set a sell, right, for 2.9 flat, right? And this is where when you put 100%, because you don't own anything, it won't be there, right? So this is where you have to kind of like, a lot of times you want to have the numbers already written down of what those are worth. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so 50%, every 500 Luna is X amount of, you know, every $500 is X amount of Luna, right? And you can kind of go back. If you don't know, you can go to your order history here, right? And you can say, okay, I bought here. Like you see that you bought Luna and there's amount 2 million whatever, right? 7 blah blah blah. So you can take any of these numbers here. Doesn't really matter because you're going to have more of that than you actually had in there. You can put that in there. Let's see here.
Okay, so slow down just a second for me, BC. I'm trying to get caught up here just a little bit. So your buy limits you set at
31.
What was your first buy?
31.
31. And that was 25%.
Mm-hmm.
And then your second buy you set at 34?
32.
32?
Mm-hmm.
So why were those only off by 1? How did you get to
Well,
that?
because if you know, like see how we're watching it right now, and it's been to
Yeah.
32, 31. Now it can't. Now it's having a trouble breaking 30, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
I mean, I expect it to go from 29 to 30. Like, see how it's going right here, but eventually it's going to get rejected again. And I expect it to kind of fall down to 29 and then 28, and then fight 28, 29, and then 27, and eventually, either people are either going to pick up the mic in the next 4 or 5 hours, and they're going to start pushing it, or they're not, right? Because there's going to be a price here that people are going who sold up here, right? Because normally it's 10%, so we're pretty close to their buying point. Like these guys here are looking for a 10% margin, which is right in this zone here. So they might be a little bit lower, but they're not lower than 28. I mean, I would be really surprised if they're lower than 28. So eventually when this hits 28, we're gonna see volume come in from people who have already sent buy limits.
Okay.
And that will trigger up, and then people are like, you know, that is pretty low. Because they're looking at this margin from 4.4 to here. So we've got a they're trying to create a nice margin, you know, kind of margin of profit here. And we got a pretty good size here. I mean, I'm happy. Like, I like this. Once this tighten up to where we can't make money, then we'll just buy that dip, and we're just gonna, you know, we'll hold with like 30% of the profit that we already made, and we'll just ride that shit out.
So are you on the, okay, so like for example, I can't see on the open orders, I can't see my stop limit stuff. So where do I see that? Order history?
Open orders.
Open orders doesn't show me stop margin. What am I not seeing?
Let's see.
Advanced orders? Okay, I got you. Okay. All right, so that's the buy-in part.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what were you talking about at the sell with a zero? You don't have anything to sell?
So when you go to hit
20.
buy, right? When you buy Luna, you should write down how much every $500 is worth, right? So for me, I know that about $500 is $1 million or something, right? So what I'm doing is I'm gonna just write in my own number, because since I don't own any Luna, when I put a stop market, so what I'm doing is preparing for my run to click 31, 32. If it decides to crash while I'm not paying attention, I'm selling everything at 0029. Meaning that, let's say it doesn't get below 29 and it goes on all of a sudden the whales start pumping it out of nowhere. And it clicks on and it starts to run, right? And it's like do, but some reason it's a fake out, and then it just plunges, right? Now I'm in a 50% position, but I have no stop market because I wasn't paying attention when it bought. I create the sell by basically saying, okay, if these two triggers at 25% each actually get triggered at 31 and 32, I will have at least somewhere underneath this amount. So as long as this amount is more than what I have, it'll sell it all anyways. So even if I have 3 million coins and this is a 7 million sell, it'll sell 7 million. It'll just sell all 3 million that I own, right? So I just take this from my order and say, okay, I'm gonna have at least 3 million coins if the buys do happen. And I take that number and I do a stop market for a sell, right? And I say sell 100% at 0029, just protecting myself in case this jumps and then does a fake out and goes into a crash.
So you mean basically if you bought back in, because you cashed everything out. So what I did is I did 75% and I left some Luna still in there.
Yeah.
So because you took everything out, your buy back in at
you see my buy here?
32.
Yeah. So
Do what?
see my buy here? So if I buy in at 31, right, I'm going to buy $500. That's about $1 million or something, $1.5 million, 2 million coins. And then it jumps up here to 32, it's another $1.5 million. So what I did was just put an exaggerated number for a sell at 29. So if these two get triggered on the way up, but hit 33 and then just go into a crash, the 29 will then trigger and save my money. You see what I'm saying?
You just put back in.
Yeah. Well, whenever these trigger, right? So now the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trigger profits. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to take the same 7 million that I actually put in to sell in case they trigger and then flop. But I'm going to go here and say, okay, when this goes from this number to, let's say 39, right? I'm going to sell at that number too. So which means that I'm going to take profits, that if these two get triggered and actually go on a run, they'll sell at the 39 mark and take profits for me.
VC,
Yeah.
VC, I'm sorry, quick question.
Mm-hmm.
I have like 20 million coins. I bought yesterday $1,000,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know what to do at this point. Should I just let it ride or take profit? I have no clue.
Yeah, how much are you up?
5,000 right now.
Okay. So you want to protect the most. I mean, I know we're all sitting there like, man, if this goes to even, if it drops a decimal, man, it's crazy.
Exactly.
I mean, it is crazy. So I mean, for you guys, I'm looking right here, and I'm looking at this floor at 29, and I'm thinking it's pretty solid right here, right? Because it's 2 o'clock in the morning. There's nobody buying in India. And this is still in the game. So I'm just like, there's buy orders here. And this is what we're kind of seeing here is these in and out of buy and sell orders. So, I mean, for me, I would just put a stop market in and say, okay, if it drops below the 0.00028, I'm just going to take 75% of my profit, and I'm going to let the rest kind of like just ride, right?
0028.
Yeah, so three zeros, so 0.3 zeros, 28, even 285. But I mean, yeah, 28, 285,
Okay.
don't matter. And I would put on there sell 75%. And
Okay.
then at the rest of it, I would be at that point be like, all right, man, we're just gonna ride that out. We're gonna see what happens.
Okay.
You know,
But
that
this
way.
still has a chance to. I'm sorry, BC. This still has a chance to run up to what? Because I don't even know what.
Oh
no
man,
one really knows.
nobody really knows right now. But I mean, you know, the way, if you're looking at the possibilities is, I mean, it can make a move here. You know, so that's,
Right?
yeah. So for me, it's just like, have you taken profits already a little bit here and there?
Nothing. I haven't taken anything.
He's just been holding on to it. Yeah, so you've been on that $5,000, $6,000 here and there. You've been kind of going up and down.
Yeah.
That's why I was saying, like, guys, when I was telling earlier, like, we always want to take profits on those runs. So if you guys would have, like, just off discipline, like these runs here, I mean, here's a double top, right? This is a really good learning point too. Like, all this is a good experience because you're up a shitload while you're learning. So here's the top, comes down, second top, right? You have to sell here. Like, that's a double top. You got to take this profit. And that would have been at 4.3. And at that point, you would have came down. You would have seen this huge wick come in, and then now you're waiting for what's called a higher high. You would have hit this push, and then the next push needed to be a higher high, but you didn't get that. And then this finally almost broke it, and that's where people.
Oh man, you see, this thing is tanking. It's at 2.7.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so sell out your
So what can I
75%. Yeah, sell out of your 75.
75 right now.
Yeah. And what we got to do here is we got to, like, just hit 75. Take that profit on there.
BC, while he's doing that, do you have, like, instead of me buying back in at $500 like you're doing, is there an issue with me buying at 25% back in
No.
on these floors?
No, whatever you want, man. Right now we just, the problem is that we haven't had any good news, right? We've had a good run for the last day and a half, 2 days, 2 days. And there hasn't been any solidification of what they're going to do, right? So right now what they're doing is they're selling their coins to get more liquidity.
Yeah.
Right, and they're just doing it at a time of the night where everybody's sleeping, no one's paying attention, India's not in, and this is why this is where you expect it, right? You sell out, and because this is where they're going to sell, and what they're thinking is by making it so damn low that the next day people are like, "Yo, I gotta buy that shit." You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's like a psychology that they're using, right? Because if they do it during the battle where you're going up and it's like fighting it, then it doesn't look like it's a good run, right? But when you look at it here, you're like, oh shit, look what I mean, last time it was here, shit went to here, right? So it starts creating that entire thing of like, man, maybe this thing can go up, right?
Since it's shooting through the floor, that 28 that we had originally looked at, are you thinking about moving your 31, 32 or not?
Well, yeah. So right now, so for me, I would take a look at it and adjust that down and say, okay, so now, I would be looking in this wick in here like a 27, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because honestly, wherever this bounces here, if you're lucky enough to catch it, if you're watching it, you'd be like, okay, man, when this starts to reverse, I'm getting 25% in. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, it's wherever this bounce comes in, like, the 27 is probably a solid bounce here, right? And you can sometimes take a look at what they've been doing. With take one of these lines and wick it down to here, right? Click this little cross, and that's just so you can grab, and then grab that over here, right? And now you can start seeing what they're doing here. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see.
Right. So now you can say, okay,
Now it's
so
going up.
you're going to be looking at about 20, 27, 28-ish right in here, this zone here. It's going to push down a little
Yep.
bit more. And now, if you want, you would take a look here, and this is where you guys, we got to do some more trading class. So sometimes I don't know if you guys are in the VIP trading or if you're taking trading courses or whatever, but you would come over here, and the most important thing here is the RSI, right? So can you guys see this screen here?
Yeah.
Alright, so now I know what's really going on because I got rejected off my RSI 30. This is fully down. Fisher is completely down, so this will continue to crash. So now I would be looking for, this to be in this zone here. So I'd be looking for it to tap, what is this here? 30, 25, 3.
Wow.
So it's a good thing we sold. It's a good thing we sold when you called it at 29. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just,
So I have like over 5 million tokens left,
yeah.
even though I sold 75%.
Yeah, that's the beauty. I mean, like catching these type of, it's kind of crazy, And then if you put the craziest part is that you can buy 25% back in on this huge dump, and you'll be literally very close to where you originally were.
Really?
So,
Yeah.
because these are heavy percentages of drop. Like this is probably going to drop like 10-20%
Yes.
on its own. So when it does that, even though you dropped 75%, you dropped it at the high, you're buying 50% back in at 20% lower cost. You almost make back the same amount of coins you had, plus you took all that profit out.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, so I should buy 50% back in at what number?
Well, so he has two levels that he likes to go in. He likes to 25% at a specific level, and then 25% more at a little bit higher.
Okay.
Because that validates that this is actually a legit, run of some kind versus it's just
Okay.
yeah. But what I'm really interested in, what he was showing me right before you got on, was he will set a stop to prevent a loss below a certain amount. He was talking about selling at 29, and he puts a value in there that is more than the number of coins he has.
Okay.
Right, BC, or did I say that right?
Yep.
So you put in a value that's more than the number of coins you have, and so it guarantees it will sell everything he's got at that number.
Yep. And the reason why I do that is because at that time I don't have so what you're setting when you're setting buys, if you don't actually own that, when you go to sell, it's like, well, what are you selling? You don't own shit. Right? So you have to actually manufacture the number. Right, so you manufacture the number in there, like, okay, so just take that. So right here, I could kind of go and say, okay, I'm going to put a buy for 25.4, right, and then I could put a sell for 24 in case that I buy it, it just keeps going, right?
Okay.
And it just allows you to protect yourself. So what I'm looking here is basically, I'm taking a look. The most important thing here, this is. You're kind of rocking here on we use the EMAs, right? So here's your 100, which is going to be the red. Here's the 50, right? So this is a huge. Anytime you see them barreling down like that, that's where they're dumping a shitload of liquidity. That's what's happening. Like they're dumping a ton of liquidity here. So what's going to happen here is. Yeah, they're going to tap this pretty quickly, probably flow through this. I mean, I would say that, with the liquidity that they're trying to grow, I would say they're probably going to take this thing down at like this level in here. Let's see if we have some Fibonacci's here. Do. All right. So we're just blowing through
Wow,
this.
I didn't think it would tank like this. Wow.
Yeah. So look at
Well,
that.
it's because it's all manipulated. This is all in prep for when America wakes up in the next couple of hours, and they look at this and they go, "Oh my gosh, it's time to buy."
Yes.
Yep.
And when they do that, then there's another run.
Yeah. And this is a
And
lot
they
of people
increase
like,
the-
and this is also timing, right? So you had, I mean, think about like where we've been for the last 2 days, right? We bought in way over here, right? And
Right.
we just went on this massive fucking mountain. And then people were like, all right, and then it fell, and people were like, all right, take profit. And then it's like, all right, take profit. And they're like, okay, shit. And they're like, all right, take profit. And they're like, you know what? And then right here it got stagnant, right? And then people started thinking to themselves like, damn, this must be the end.
Right.
Because there's nobody
Exactly.
buying. So that's the end of the sales. That's the end of people having because everyone knows like there's nobody buying it. So then they kind of do their run and then everyone's like, all right, I'm out of this shit. Right? And then you also have the company starting to come in because you see this candlestick here? That, remember I was telling you that you would see a pump there from, see? Remember I told you that you would see a
Yeah.
pump here? This is
Yeah.
these are the fucking, people were setting their buy limits at 29. So they bought there, right? Got rushed up to
Yeah.
here, and now they're sleeping thinking that, you know, they're gonna wake up with a fucking gain, but they're gonna wake up with a massive loss.
Yeah, because we're going through 22 headed south.
Yeah, we're dropping quick.
Yeah. So, I mean, is this the kind of deal? I mean, do you ever babysit stuff like this? Do you like I can't go to sleep because this thing's way too crazy right now?
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, it's, you know, if you're, it's you know, the shit's fun. I mean, I love this shit. I mean, honestly, I mean,
That was me with Luna. I
Yeah.
watched it for 48 hours straight
Yeah.
while it dropped.
I know that every time I walked in, it was.
I was
like,
staring at the
I went to
same
sleep
screen.
and came back, and I was like, she's just staring at the screen. I'm like,
Staring.
"All right."
I couldn't take. No, listen. I
It
couldn't.
was
I
crazy.
couldn't take my eyes off of it. It was. I watched it all go down for like. It was 30 hours, 36 hours, or 40. I lost count. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I remember watching it and I thought, you know, I bought in at a third of a penny. I put $500 into it, and I thought, man, this is where it's going to bottom out. No, I was totally off.
Yeah.
I watched
Everyone
my
was.
$500 turn into a penny. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, I know. When we bought in at 38 cents, and when it hit all the way down, and I was like, just put the same amount of money, and you literally just cut yourself down to like 1,300. I'm like, I mean, it went so low. It's
No
just.
one knew that.
I mean, and people are like, you sure? I'm like, yeah. I mean, now they were all like, all right. I mean, honestly, if, you know, I'm a big time, like for me, when I seen that, I'm like, I was like, I looked over and was like, I'm putting 10 grand. And motherfuckers like, oh shit. You know, like, you know, 'cause it gets a little crazy. So, I mean, when that hit like 90,000, I took profits. Then it hit 120, took profits. And then I'm like, okay. And that's what then online, because, online I was like, shit, if you only had, because what I want to show people is like, man, you don't have to be afraid of crypto. Like, if this is the type of opportunity where if you only had $50, you know what I mean?
You could still make
Yeah.
a ton of money out of it.
Yeah, you can make a ton of money, because the goal is to, you know, because I realized last year, I was kind of like, you know, the shit is so great, you know, and I would trade live on, and here you go, you see how it's starting to level out here, you got two of these massive wicks, right? So now you would be looking to get in here, like if it can sustain the 26, or you'd put 25%.
What, are you on the 5-minute chart? What chart are you on?
Yeah, I'm running the 5 minute. Yeah, and this thing is so damn small. You got to run the 5 minute. Like, you can back up a little bit here, hit a 30, and just kind of look around. But I mean, the data is so. This is a small cap. You know, so
BT, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Should I buy another 25% or wait?
oh, we're gonna wait. We're
No,
gonna
I'd
wait.
wait.
We're wait because you know the
This
problem
thing
is, yeah, it's the time. It's the time of the night. You know, right now we're sitting at 1:30 in the morning. You know, it's gonna kind of fluctuate here, but there's nobody really to buy.
These are people asleep at the wheel. This is just
Yeah,
their
limit buys.
their automation, their stops and everything else. So
Oh,
this is just
okay.
this is just a bounce. As soon as it hit, if you watch, as soon as it hit 22, that was a bunch of people's floor for
Yes.
selling. So it bounced back. Yeah.
Okay.
Which isn't bad. I mean, we get to see, and you know what's going to happen is they're going to create some type of floor. So we're going to get to see like, you know, how many people are really selling and buying. At some point, you know, the sellers are going to end, and then it's just going to go kind of like sideways, and then that'll be the entry point, which is, you know. So I mean, putting a buy here at like 27 or something, it wouldn't hurt you if you were going to bed going, all right, I'll take a 27, I'll take a 28. You know, because they're gonna kind of like move back and forth, or even like you see that wick, that thing was humming there. I mean, that thing touched 20. You know, a lot of times as you get better, and if you're watching, you can kind of see stuff and go, you know what, I'm gonna play now. If you go across here, right? So here we go over here. We can find our original wick. See that? And you could go, shit, I'll take. You know, that, what is that, 20? And if you'd have came over here and put 21, you could have snagged it at 21 right there with a limit buy. Or a stock market buy.
What a limit buy, right? Okay.
Yeah, so here you can put a limit, or stop market, it don't matter. You would have just put 0.0021, or what is it? And then boom, you would have been like 2-1. And you want to go a little bit higher, so you would put like a 5 in there. Because you want to, you're like, all right, I'm going to catch this a little bit higher because I don't expect it to drop in there, but that you would have snagged it right there, and all of a sudden you're sitting at 26.
Okay.
And then you're kind of like not worried because you have all this, you have this entire wick. So even as it comes all the way down and retest, you're already in. You know, so I would be looking for buying off these, probably in this zone here, probably like a 23, but because of the time, I would come down a little bit lower. I'd be looking for a 21.5 entry, like pretty much.
Okay.
That. I'd say that's where I would be happy, you know, coming back in.
Do you have one of these bricks? This is an Apple, but you need one of these bricks or outlets. Plug it into the computer or some shit.
For your Apple?
For your Apple, you said you needed another one.
Oh, I'm like, no, I got the Apple. I'm trading.
Good night.
Good night. So that's. Oh, you didn't get the laundry, did you?
No.
You're a bum.
Forgot.
So right now
Well,
we're
you
just.
see,
Yeah.
Is it possible? Is it possible that this could go to a penny in, you know, a few
Yeah.
months?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, when the bull run reestablishes, people looking at it. Like I said, Luna just has to decide what's it going to do. Like
And
that's
that's the big problem right now is we have no idea.
we have no idea.
Okay, no idea. Okay.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's why this is doing what it's doing, is because everyone is either FOMOing in or they're fudding out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And then you also have them taking profits, and then they will rewrap their coin and then put them all back in.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So while they're doing that, it's normally around this time you'll see like these big liquidity pumps, or actually dumps, and then once they kind of start rewrapping, then it starts to recover.
So if you watch this, so I'm trying to figure out how come my chart looks different from yours, because I've got a green bar.
Are you on KuCoin or right? So I'm on.
I'm on KuCoin.
Oh, okay. So I'm on here.
So
I moved to the 15 minute.
Oh, okay, that's why.
Yeah, because I just wanted to see if there was a longer wick on the 15 minute to see if we can look for a nice little entry.
I don't think is yours refreshing? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, you get the little green button right here on the 5 minute. And what it's doing is it's not too bad because it's starting to bounce off of the 10, which is all right. And we want to trade above the 10, but right now the 5. See, the problem is the 5, right? Normally, what you want is the 5 above the 10, right? So this is still a downward pattern.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah, the 5 is still.
I have
down.
a feeling like this thing is still gonna bounce back down to around 21. What do you think?
Oh yeah. I think 21.5 is probably the number.
And then you're saying, and then you said 4 o'clock is around the time the America starts. Are you talking about 4 o'clock Eastern?
Yeah, 4 a.m. basically. So like in the morning here, we're looking for the 5 a.m.
Do you wake yourself up for that at all, or do you just kind of let things ride?
It depends. It depends on like if I'm looking at it like, all right, it's worth a run, right? Sometimes I'll just set a thing and say, yeah, I'll take a 28. I'm not worried about it, right? But there's, if you're like, if it's like it's the, the grind, then you're like, all right, set the alarm. Because I mean, like sometimes, like it's big moves. I mean, like I get a little crazy I'm a gambler. So for me, it's like when that shit was totally bottomed out, I was like, fuck it. Like there's no way this doesn't bounce. Like I was just in my head, like I mean, I put 10 grand, it just bounced a little. I make 10 grand. Like if it does what
Amazing.
yeah, I'm like if it does what I think it's gonna do, it'll make 30. And I was like,
Sure.
yeah, I'm like, so I'll put a stop loss. I mean, if I lose anything, I'll lose 3 grand. But is 3 grand worth 30? I was like, fuck, let it ride. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was easy for me to make that decision. Like I've never. It's just like it's reckless. But I mean, it was a great play on there. Like I'm like, it's just gotta run like that. There's no way. Like I was thinking, like there's no way they're just gonna let it fail immediately. They're going to try to save this.
It's their baby. They have an emotional attachment to this. They put
Not only that, they spent the last month on every damn TV show. I mean, it's like you've kind of solidified yourself. It's like it's the moment. Now, see, this is where they're starting. Now, this will, once we see this little 5 turn up, so they're starting to put liquidity back now. So we're starting to see a nice little blind. See, this is the liquidity.
Yeah.
So now they're coming back. This would be a nice little. Remember, I was like telling her, like I'll take a 28. So this right here would be where I would, take 25% and be like, all right, I'm happy in the 28 zone.
Because you think this is going to go up from here?
Yeah, like for me, I'm happy with 28. If this pushes up, and here, you see how the 5 is starting to turn? So Luna's back on. So now we're buying 25%.
BC, should I buy another 25% or wait?
Yeah, I would take 25 here.
Alright.
And we're starting to move. The 5 is starting to pump up a little. And all what I'm looking for is like, is there support here at any number? Like, do I think it can go to 4 again? Yeah, I think it's going to go to 4 again. So we're happy here. Anything below the 3 was great.
Oh,
to
really? Back to 4 BC?
Yeah, this little 0045. I think it'll hit that again.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see like if they started crushing it down. Like, was anybody interested in it? Right. So we saw a lot of limit buys. You know what I mean? So that means there's some money in it already, which is great. I just wanted to see if they would blow past 2. But they went right to 2, and that's pretty much what they already did over here. So it's kind of like they're testing that's their bottom right there. Right? Which is okay. I'll take that.
25%. Alright, I'm going to do 25%.
Yeah, 25%, and now we're just hanging out. You're going to get a 28 right here, and it's now we just want to let it run its course for the day, and then tomorrow when we get into a solid more position, when we start getting pumps, then we can get a little more into it.
Okay.
Because I still have my sell here at 39. See? And I
Mhm.
still have my buy at 32.
Okay. So I don't have to set no stock market or anything on this tonight, right?
You always put your stop market. So your stop market would be. You would
Oh,
look
really?
At, oh yeah, 100%. 100%.
Okay, stock market,
So stop market you'd put
stock
right.
market,
You would put at the. Now that we're moving in, you would start at the bottom of the candle. So 00023.
0.23.
No. So 0.000.
I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. 0 point
3 zeros. And
1, 2, 3.
yeah, you can put point. You can put 24. Actually, you're good.
Not 2, 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you want to keep.
0.3024.
Yeah, and then keep that.
And what?
Keep that 4. Keep that like within a radius of like a 6. So like as that moves up from the 2.9, if it moves up, you just move that up a little bit. You know, every time it moves up 3 or 4, you just kind of keep it within like a 6 or 7 space. You know, so
Like
it's,
7 space.
yeah. So when it's over here, let's say it gets to 3.5.
100%, right?
Yeah, you would sell 100% if it gets to that point. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna sell 100% right now. So stop market and sell 100%.
Yep, at the 0.00024.
Got it. Sell Luna.
Yeah, so now you're just kind of like, we're going to ride this out. It should go up here, get rejected off the 200 at 3.1, come back down and start working its way around. And then I would be looking for it to recess itself. And then once it comes above here, we can see about some new runs. Because we're kind of like getting to the middle of the pack of like what it's going to do. But even at that price, the 25% is still like 40% of what we had originally.
Sure. Okay, good.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
see. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
yeah, I mean,
I wish we would have done something when it dropped down to 21. That would have been a nice little grab.
yeah, and that's where you start learning wicks, right? That's kind of like in the trading side. So I'm gonna do more classes on that for you guys and kind of like work on the like guys. Always expect a wick. Always look for that pre-wick area, you know, and then set the grab in there. Like that's the one I would have actually grabbed on right there, the 21, right that 21.5 right there. But it actually gave 2, so that was pretty nice. And now it's starting to build its liquidity back up. So this is a nice little push. Plus we had buy orders at 3, 2.9, 2.8. So we have a nice little floor here of people who are kind of stuck in that. So then you have to say to yourself, this is how you learn profit. You say, where did these guys take profit, right? And they're going to be at 10%. Right, so you say all the guys who bought in at 2.7 are going to be looking to sell at this 3.4. So you would be selling right there at that 3.3, kind of taking your profits there, and then waiting for them to bounce down and then break that out. And then what we're looking for right now is kind of like, is it going to start going back above 3.7, or are we just going to start to make this little smaller wedge? So that's where you would put, so for you guys, you would put your stop market. For the profit, you would simply put 0.0034, 100%.
Okay.
Explain to me how that stock market works in both directions for selling. So like,
So
we got a
if you,
stock market set for 0.00023 selling at 100%, right?
as long as you put it in sell, you put it over here in the red column, right?
Right on the stop.
Yeah.
You put 0.000.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you put it here in the green, this is buy.
Right. Yeah.
So, right. So here, now that we bought in at the 0.028, we would put the stop market, but we would put it here, 0.0023. Let's see what it is. Let's take a 3.4. Right. We would sell 100% at that level. Right. So we're buying. This is a profit taker right there. When you want to buy in, you would put it here. Now, when you're doing down here to save yourself money, if it drops, you put it in the stop on the red. So let's
Yeah,
say
that's
this-
what I'm trying to. That's what I'm trying to figure out is both your profit taker and your backstop are on the sell column.
So here's your the next thing here would be like, so here's my sell at 34, right? I had another sell at 39, but remember that one was there in case of the 32 and 31 that picked up. Remember?
Right. Right.
So what I can do here is I can add another buy somewhere, and knowing that I have that protection in there. So here I have a buy at 32. You see that?
Yep.
Right? And then it's going to sell at my 34. So now what I need is actually for the downside. So what I would take it here and I would move see how it's bouncing off the 200 right now? We're starting to bounce off our 2, the 31. So I would go to the bottom of pretty much like the middle of this here, and I would say, okay, this is where I want to be. It's like up in this zone here for protecting the money. And since we had this low liquidity, I expect it to play off of the 29. So I would go and say, okay, if you break the 00028, right, 003, so that's 3 zeros, right? 1, 2, 3, yeah, 28. I would say sell 100% of my Luna at that price, because at that point, you know, we're not stable enough for this. Because with this liquidity section, here we're starting to break. Yeah, we're looking good. So here I'm happy with this 32 because I'm going to get in here, and I could increase. The 34 is going to be good money. This should have already picked up. You see how that bought my 32? It wicked up. Now it's bought in. So now what I can do is, see how I have profit at the 0034. I'm feeling good about the solid. What I can do is cancel that out and go, okay. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually kind of run some profit. So I'm going to go 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. But instead of 100%, I'm going to sell 50%. I'm going to let this kind of like run out. So now the next profit would be 3, 4 and also 3, 9. And then here on the 3, 9, this is where you would come in here and actually success. Nice. So now what you would do here and say, okay, I want to stop. I'm going to go to 0, 1, 2, 3, 3, 9, and that's where I'm going to take 100% profit at that point. So now I got my lower, my middle, 50% profit on 34 and 100% profit on 39. That'll give me my percentages that I want here, and then the 39 would give me the run out percentages up in here, which would be the top of this little tip here. And then if everything kind of goes the other direction, I have a safety valve at 28.
And your safety valve is selling everything.
Yep, and now that I'm at 3-1, I'm going to cancel that out, and then I will move this to 1, 2, 3, 2, 9, 5. So now I'm slowly moving up my safety valve.
VC, should I move mine up or no?
You can move yours up to 2, 9.
Oh, 2.9, really? Okay. Okay.
Because this is going to be real close on the 295.
Yeah, it's really wanting to bounce right around to it.
Because right now, I see how it's fighting off the 200.
Okay, so I cancel that one. It's canceled. So I'm going in here, 0.
And
Point.
put 0.00285.
0.0030.
285. No. Yeah, 3 zeros. And then
Yeah.
285 or 285.
285. Okay, sell 100%, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, we see if we put an amount of Luna there that's above what we actually have,
Yeah, just sell it.
it'll sell it all, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I got that in.
See, like this is like playing close to that, so I'm gonna cancel it out because it would trigger that. Because right now it's going to bounce off this 200, but my 5 is still breaking the 10 here, so we're still good. So we'll put the stop at the 0. 1, 2, 3, 2, 8, 5. And right now we can watch, because of the time of the night, we can kind of take a look here and be like, all right, how this will tell you like how strong your coin is, right? And this is where you can just like literally spend hours watching a coin. You're like, how do you watch a coin all night? What's happening is, you know, yeah, what you're watching is, okay, so when no one's awake and no one's buying and no India, no Asia, like, is there money here, right? This is kind of what this is used for. Like, is there money here? And so far, we've seen, you know, buy sets, buys in here, and now it's like, okay, so now, you know, people are gonna look at this when they kind of get up and say, oh shit, we got a buying opportunity because this can go to 4-4. That right there is plenty. Like it's a nice 15, 20, 30% gain. Like that's massive. So this is still a good money making coin. So this is probably going to be, this coin's going to be hot for a minute. You know, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, it has to get some type of better news. It has to get some type of like, you know, progress here.
You know, maybe I'll watch it for a few hours.
Yeah, I mean it's exciting. I mean, you know, it's always good when you're pulling a couple grand out of it. You're like, man, I can watch this for, you know, and I make good money on it. You know, it's really sometimes you know there's only, like I try to tell people, like 10 the monster thing is 10 good trades a month, right? If you're making 10, me too. And you know, you kind of like watch what's going on. And you're like, all right, and really, while you're here, it's, you know, you take your time and kind of like stroll through your.
We just hit our sell, by the way.
Yeah, that's fine. 28. Did 28 hit? 25. Yeah.
VC.
Yeah, you're good.
I just got wicked out.
Yeah, we're good. We're gonna watch. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna wait on it. Because right now we're fighting. So normally what happens if you get rejected 3 times off of a line, you will drop.
Okay.
So now we can take a look and say, okay, let's go into the bigger picture here, right? So now we can take a look here. So this is like really struggling. Another problem here is that you see how we hit off the 99? So we just hit off our 100 RSI. That's going to cause us to come the other way. The fish, though, the fish is still good, which is nice, right? But the Fibonacci's are upside down still, right? So the Fibonacci's are saying that we're still weak, you know? So this is probably going to reject. Now, this is either going to get support off of the 618, or it's going to come back down to the 24.
Wow.
And that's because, like I said, there's nobody up. So a lot of this pressure was being bought by people sleeping that already had like buying orders.
Buy orders. Okay.
You know, and now we're starting to get where they're taking liquidity again.
You don't think we'll go down as far as we did the last time, down to the 21.5?
I don't think so. I think they'll bounce down. I mean, like I would probably set a buy. You know, I would take a buy off of this. You know, they would probably wick at 24 for sure. You know, or even in between, I would put a 22 for 50% and a 24. Because, you know, if they blow, it depends how they blow through this. Like if they don't even resist off this line, then it's gonna go down heavy to here. So you could put a buy at 24.
Mhm.
But I mean, this looks like it might. This looks like it's trying to hold this. You know, it's fighting this 618 line right here. You see what I'm saying? Like you're getting a nice little
Yeah.
dancing on that bad boy. So fish is still good down at the bottom, so that means there's actually whales buying here. So there's big volume coming in, even though the RSI is oversold. So we got a nice little section.
So what does it mean when the RSI is oversold?
You know, it just basically, normally RSIs go about 80. 80 is a normal sell, and when it pushes higher than that, that just means there was just way too many people buying at that time, too much pressure. And then normally from that point, it has to be calculated, right? Meaning that so much was bought that it was calculating so fast that it has too much volume on it. And then when it actually gets to what was, you know, bought versus what was sold, then it starts to, you know, equal itself out. So right now it was counting like crazy amounts of buys, but it didn't get the sales in, right? So then when the sales come in, it's like, all right, it's overbought, and that's where you see it kind of push down over the buys, because it's like, all right, it's been way too much bought. It didn't catch the sales. You see, here's your dip again. Let's see here.
Yeah, it's starting to drop below 28. I think it changed zeros in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Two, three.
But it, I mean, it has where it wants to fight. Bless you.
God bless you.
See, it wants to fight in here, which is good because we need higher highs and higher lows. This looks pretty good in here. So we're getting what we want. You know, I would rather have it sitting on top of this here, but we have a lot of buying volume in here. Yeah, see, like these double wicks, and here they go again, taking liquidity. See, these are liquidity bumps.
Mm-hmm.
Now you guys can put a wick in here and say, okay, buy at 24. I mean, I would probably put a wick in here at 23 and a 23.5.
23.5. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely where they'd be looking to hit 23.5 for like a 25% buy in there,
25%. Okay.
and then 22 for 25%. And the reason why is because you got your RSI plummeting, plus you got fish dying out. So this is becoming a very short. They're starting to short this pattern out.
Well, they're also shaking out all the limit orders, right? All the stop orders,
Yeah.
because this is basically triggering everything back and forth until it all settles out. Because nobody's going to put these things 3 or 4 layers thick, right?
Correct. That's why I say sometimes when it gets crazy like that, you're just like, all right. I mean, it's because it's good runs, but it's like the reality is it's like we only need, and I know we're having fun with Luna, but we only need to make 10 trades a month that make, you know, get us into a 10% gain, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, you know, the discipline comes, because I mean, you know, honestly, there's going to be so many fucking runs that we can capitalize 5-10 grand off of. I mean, if you do 10 of them, it's 50 grand.
Sure.
You know, so it's like, you know, that's where we have the patience is like, it's fun to watch and hang out and shoot the shit and be like, yo, did you see that? And that's where the research and watching the coins and be like, what do you think? And then when we get the opportunity, like, fuck that, put 10 grand, right? And then you just like, you take advantage of it, and then you're like, you sit back and like, I'll throw a couple bucks in here, see what happens. And then you just kind of wait for that moment when you get that move again, and you're like, oh, this is it. This is the one we're waiting for. And that's where people have to, we got to spend more time just teaching patience. Like, we just got to be patient. Like 10 trades a month, that's nothing. And then count them out. That was a good trade. All right, that was a good one. We don't have to take a risk here. And that's what this coin is getting to. Like, all right, at this point, we don't really have to take a risk here until this decides what it's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, we should probably put buy orders at 2021 and just call it a day.
21.
Yeah, just be like, all right, we'll buy back at 21 and that's the day. Like, that's kind of like, yeah, I mean, 21, I mean, it's especially, well, it hit 20, let's see what it is.
It hit 21 and a half, I think, is what that low was.
Yeah. I mean, it'll hit 21 in there. That's what I mean, like, pulling the 22 and say, okay, 22 seems to be the floor. I mean, for me,
I have 5,700 in my account. So should I do 50%?
Yep, I'll do exactly what I did. 50% at 22.
Okay, so stock market limit, right?
Yes.
Limit, okay, and 0.123 zeros, 0.3 zeros, 0.000, 21?
22.
22.
Oh, 22.
Yeah, so now we can just sit back and we say, all right, we're gonna let this do what it does, and this goes till like at least I'd say 9 a.m. Central.
10 a.m. Okay. So,
Because you're gonna have the morning come in. We got Sunday. We normally dip on Sunday, so like to me that's like a good period, because I want from there, if it gets to 3-2 again, which we've seen multiple times, then we made our money again and we're happy. That's
looking for. Open orders. I'm trying to see where the orders at. I hit trade history.
Advanced orders.
advanced orders.
I'm sorry.
Advanced.
orders.
Advanced.
That wasn't my number.
Hmm.
None of that.
I don't see anything in here then. Oh my goodness. But it took the money out.
Oh, you probably have. Oh, you put limit. Did you have limit?
Yeah.
Yeah, limit will take the money out. So limit should be on. It should be on.
It'll be in
advanced.
history now if it's already executed. It'll be on order history or
Yeah,
trade history.
yours. If you put limit, it'll buy because it might automatically pick it
Okay,
up.
so I hit order history. It says stock market. Oh my god. Something's not right here.
Yeah. So now here, go just to check your account. Hit market, and then hit
Okay.
the 100%
Okay.
sell to see if you have any Luna.
Okay, just hit market.
Hit market.
Yeah.
Hit 100%, and
Yeah.
then that has how much Luna you have, right? So you're good right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it just came in 282. 2827 point whatever numbers, yeah.
Yeah. So you're in a good spot here because you're going to
So
have a
am I
little bit
good?
of bump here. Yeah, you're in a good little bump. So you get to play this 200 line again. Now you're looking to get this. So we want to get in if it breaks this 200. Right? So we have to have one wick above the 200.
Mm. Okay, because I was just wondering how come I didn't see the order in here. That's the only thing what I'm looking for. Advance. Open orders. No open orders. Ready to start.
So this is a normal trade execution, right? So here, what we're looking for is on the 200, right? We want to see, let me see, where's my... So it'll actually be the 1, break the 1. So we would want a candle to close above the 100. Now, more than likely, it's probably going to get rejected again. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Right around the 31.5 mark, probably.
Yeah, where I mean, it's not. There's no. You see how it's getting. That's what I'm saying. Like we're. This isn't a dead zone. There's like no money.
Well, this is zombie trading, right? I mean, this is just. Right.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of people, like sometimes you look and go, man, this has got to do something. I mean, there is some fish activity here. Like there's some volume here, right? But I mean, there's just the RSI's getting beat up and down here. It's oversold. That wick right there kind of tells the story when it hit that 3-1. You know,
Yeah.
it's going to come back down here. But more importantly, what I'm looking for is a couple things, right? One is my Fibonacci's are still down, right? Those are kind of like the main testers. Plus that wick went below our 50, right? So we're getting below our 50 here on that wick. So, and it didn't touch the 100 yet, right? So sitting in the middle of these two Fibonacci's, I would expect for this more to come down to this 2.8 and bounce again, and then kind of try to fight its way back up.
Do you think our buy of 22 is still sound?
Oh yeah. Because I mean, it's still early. You got a little bit
2
of time.
hours.
Yeah, like it's either, and the reason why too is like even though so here we got a little life here because see how that 50 went flat. Here's your
Yeah.
RSI, but it's literally closing in again at the 99. So more than likely it's going to tap the 3-1, 3-2, get rejected again, and then we're going to start to see it. Does it have, like, can it break these candles, right? If it starts, you know, like these are looking really weak.
So I'll go ahead and give you a little bit of insight to my psychology right now, DC. I have no Luna. I just have USDT.
Mhm.
And in my head, I'm freaking out when I gotta buy it because this thing's going back up.
Yeah, but that's what this robot wants you to do, right? Because
So that's the hard part for me is breaking that, is having the mental.
and here's what you have to
discipline.
do. The discipline would say you would look at your RSI, right? And you would say,
Mhm.
okay, let me put this on the 15-minute, right? And you would say, okay, where am I at here really, right? And on the 15-minute, you have a little opportunity here of growth. But you cannot buy in until this breaks the 60 and actually, like, you know, test against it. Fish is looking good, but you have, this is a resistance line here at the Fibonacci here. So you can't get in until you break 30, you know, at least 31 here, right? This candle has to sit on top of this fib. right? So you can't get in there. So then you go back and say, okay, I need that to happen, but then I go back to my 5 minutes. And now at the 5 minute mark, I realize that I'm really close to being at my 100 on my RSI, which means it's automatically going to give us a lot of sale pressure, right? And my fish is starting to die out. It's not really looking kind of limp there. So it's like, I'm in no man's land right now. Like there's, and then you say to yourself, and it's fucking, 2 in the morning. There's really, there's always some type of burst at 2 in the morning because people wake up and they're like, oh shit, good deal. And then it's like, but it doesn't last. There's not enough people.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So here, even if it looks good, I'm like, I'm not getting into this because even if it breaks any of this, it's gonna come right back down because there's no money. Like that's why a lot of times I'll tell people like at this hour I'm like, yo, I would just come back at 4 and 5 in the morning. I got to come back in 3 hours and be like, all right, I'll see you in 3 hours, right? Because that's where you want to start, watching it again. Like okay, and as soon as this RSI gets down into this zone here, you're like, okay, I'm getting in. This is where I would take a risk.
So is the RSI your primary indicator?
Yeah, that's kind of like your. Man, do I get in or not, right? And you're like, right now, you're just like, that's a little too close to me because it doesn't have any power, it doesn't have any pressure, right? And this one's barely breaking the 60, so I'm like, So now here it is hitting its Fibonacci, and now we're watching it battle. A lot of times you want to, if you're a trader, what you're really looking for is you're looking for what's called the golden pocket, right? Which is when the coin breaks above this zone here, the 5, and then in this zone here, then we expect it to jump up to this and this, right? But now with the weakness of it all, you would say, okay, if we can get above this one, then I can play this golden pocket zone here. But I need it above, the 3-3 bouncing off here and then going for. The 786 is kind of like your hardest Fibonacci to break, so that would be 3-7. So this is where you can like plan your take profit zone and say, okay, I'm going to take profits at 3-7-8, but I would take 3-7-5. You know what I mean? If you were in a trade, if you were looking at this was actually like strong, and we're going to get we'll get a nice little push here. It's kind of like it's such a cheap price, man. They want to buy it, which is good. But sometimes you sit out and you say, yeah, we're getting a little higher highs, but we need it to, we want a solid run here. Like right there's your 200 line. There we go. Nice little push. She's starting to get a little. This is good because this shows us like this is letting us know that big ass dip earlier doesn't really matter.
Okay.
This is them putting back liquidity. Now, if they would have took that dip and then this didn't happen, that means they're taking the money. You know what I'm saying? So now we at least we can be comfortable going. Okay, you're giving it back. You're giving a little back here, which is all right. Like it's okay. It's like I'll take that. I mean, now we're looking half decent here. We got a higher high here. But see that volume there, it's like that, remember we were talking about that 3-2, you gotta break that 3-2, 3-2-3. Like 3-3 would be the real number to break to have a run. Like I mean it looks good, but it's just not enough to really move.
See what I'm listening to you, I'm analyzing you at the same time I'm watching this, and what I'm hearing you do is you're not getting emotionally involved just because this thing is bouncing higher and higher and higher. You're like, it's still not going to do a thing, right? You're, and that's what I'm listening to. Is you don't get over. Like I look at this and go, well, I was wrong. I don't know what I'm talking about. I need to buy now.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, because it's like it has to have support, right? So these are what these moving averages are, right? So these are like the 50, the 100. Like they have to get above these to show some type of support, and I would care if it was like midday, but right now I'm just watching kind of like, a whale mess around, you know what I'm saying? Like these are bots. Like bots will come in and start buying, and they want you to think that this is really gonna run. You're like, yeah, and then you see how this is a 5-minute chart, right? You see like all that action there. That's a bot, like literally, just buying a little, selling, buy. You see, buy, sell, buy. It's trying to bait you to buy.
To buy.
And the moment it gets people, buying in, and it gets that little 5%, and then it's like sell, and then it's like, and then it starts doing it again. We really needed to, we needed to sit there, which is good. We're starting to get some volume here, which is what we want, because what I'm looking for is like kind of like a long haul move. Like I want this thing to, kind of like show that, this big ass dip really, like I don't have to worry too much, which I'm liking right now. I'm like, all right, we got, now here we're above our 786. We broke through our 786. So this is a good sign here. Now we're starting to get into, this is where these Fibonacci's have to reverse, right? Now if it sits on this 100, which it looks like it might, we're looking pretty good.
So, but you're saying this is not a buy signal right now because the RSI is oversold, right?
Yeah. So for me, I'm just kind of like, I'm letting it do its little due diligence here, because I'm looking forward to see if I can get, I want to know if this zone here is going to get rejected. You know what I mean? Because we're already up so much, it's not worth taking a risk. It's kind of like, we want to see where we can, start to manage our profits here.
Well, what's funny to me though is that we don't have any Luna right now. Like we sold all of our Luna,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this is where my FOMO gets the worst of me.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's and that's where you have to kind of like, you say, all right, man, we're already in profits, we're good, we're sitting here, and what we're looking for here is like, all right, how much does the rest of the world care about this coin right now? It's actually like, it's like prepping us for like, is this going to keep making a move? Because right now there's a lot of pre-buy orders coming in. People are like, all right, man, this is, there's a lot of guys like you right now buying in, like, let's go, right?
Yeah, right.
And which is good, because now we have to see like, okay, like what are they've already taken liquidity twice on us. Like they're like, boom, boom. So now are they done? Are they done finally taking the liquidity? We're gonna see if we can bounce past this. So it's kind of like tracking the value. Now what we want to do here is, since we have a higher high, is we want to buy this low. That's what we want to do here. Do.
So should I cancel my order, VC?
What do you got your order on?